Abigail stood in front of me like a moment frozen in time. Despite the delicate beauty of her wedding dress, Abigail's eyes conveyed nothing less than sheer determination and the occasional flicker of an ethereal green glow. Despite the delicate beauty of her wedding dress, I couldn't leave now. There was so much I needed to learn. I thought I'd keep that to myself. I didn't think she'd be interested in that. So, Abigail. May I call you Abigail? Why did you try to kill me? Come to think of it, why did you try to kill me twice? Were you under Rackham's evil spell when you threw me from the balcony and dragged me into the spirit pool?
No, that was me. It took a lot of energy to escape the spell. Those were the only times I've ever managed to do it. But it needed to be done.
So you tried to kill me on purpose?
I wasn't trying to kill you, Murphy. When you came into the house, I knew what you were trying to do. Summoning the ghosts. And in doing that, you'd free Rackham. I was trying to stop you, to save everybody.
I was the threat?
And pulling you into the spirit pool? Once you'd done that damned foolish deed, I knew we needed you in the house to fix it. So I brought you here. I was never trying to kill you.
Oh, I see. I guess we had a slight misunderstanding. What were those faces I saw through the broken glass?
Those are the faces I've seen every minute of every hour of every day for the last 33 years. Those are his punishment. I don't know how he does it, but it's like he can control your dreams and your nightmares. He can manifest images in your mind that don't exist, no matter how much you want to stop them.
Nightmares? So he's the one that the locals have seen wandering the house.
He was the only one who could, but until now, he could never leave the house, only manifest projections of himself beyond the estate.
Like appearing to Dr. Moray as Aloha?
That's right. Rackham was never Aloha, but he knew Moray would fall for it, hook, line, and sinker. And now look what it's led to.
You're free now. You can stop Rackham.
No, Murphy. Rackham's magic is strong. You may have broken the spell for now, but what he said was true. I don't know how long I can hold out before the curse takes hold of me again. But it will happen. I can already hear them laughing.
What are we going to do?
I have a plan, but I need you to carry it out for me. You need to finish what you started, Murphy. You need to find the treasure of Belmore Manor. Rackham's looking for it too. You'll need to get there first.
What's so important about the treasure?
What do you think the treasure is, Murphy?
$13 million? Unaccounted for and unclaimed?
No, Murphy. The treasure is much more insidious than that. $13 million is just what my brother spent trying to contain it. Listen carefully. I need you to know something. Do you want to know what the treasure of Belmore Manor really is? My brothers meant the world to me, and I missed them dearly every time they sailed away into the Caribbean. On one fateful voyage, they'd anchored in a lagoon to replenish supplies. There was a man there, so thin and weak he looked like a skeleton. He beckoned them along the beach, led them into a cave, and showed them an unfathomable pile of gold, coins, goblets, jewelry, the riches of 1,000 looted ships, topped by a wooden coffin. That coffin held a treasure more valuable than the rest put together. The skeletal man saw a shell from the beach in the hand of my eldest brother and offered to make a trade, for he knew that the item within the coffin could not be given away. It could only be bought or traded or inherited. The deal done, my brothers loaded up their ship and set sail for the nearest port. But when the dockhands opened the coffin, they fled and refused to return. Inside was a black stone that seemed to glow green from within. The locals knew a legend of a terrifying pirate captain who wielded such a black stone, able to make any who resisted his demands collapse dead before him. But that had been 2 centuries ago. Surely the pirate captain should have been long dead. My brothers put so much into researching the stone, scouring the Caribbean, conducting scientific experiments, meeting experts of the occult. And it all led to one terrible discovery. The coffin stone was a cursed artifact, able to destroy a person's spirit and steal the remaining years of their life for the stone's possessor. That pirate captain, who had ransacked ships by stealing the life of anyone who dared to oppose him, was now cursed to live out every year he stole, withering and weakening without dying. My brothers sealed the stone in a vault beneath Belmore Manor. 3 keys were required to open it. My brothers each took one, vowing never to allow the stone to work its evil power. But one person disagreed. He had seen the stone and knew what it could do. The ship's first officer, Rackham. And now, he'll stop at nothing to get it, murdering my brothers, enslaving me, and killing you.
This isn't quite the treasure I expected to find.
Murphy, the treasure isn't $13 million. All that money went into researching the stone and then sealing it away where no one would find it. This fireplace is the entrance to the vault where it's hidden. You see the keyholes concealed in the mantle? We'll need my brother's keys to open it.
And I guess finding the keys is where I come in? What if we just leave it sealed up? Hide the keys so Rackham can never find it?
He will find it. I don't know how long it will take, but eventually he'll find it. And I won't be able to resist the curse for that long. I need you to find those keys tonight, before the wedding.
How do I even start looking for your brothers?
You need to speak to Madame Planchette. She helped my brothers years ago, and now she might be able to help us too.
Who's Madame Planchette?
An old friend of the family my brothers brought to our house to help them. Some people call her the Parlor Witch.
What will Rackham do if he gets control of the coffin stone?
Rackham fears the judgment of death more than anything. The stone will allow him to return to flesh and blood and remain here in the mortal realm for as long as he keeps taking people's lives.
He'll keep murdering people?
Exactly. And it's easy to know his first targets. Once he has the stone, there's an entire household of lives right here, ready for him to steal, including yours and mine.
He can steal life from ghosts?
The explosion may have interrupted things, but the spirits here still hold the years of life they're owed. They may never be able to use them, but Rackham will.
This house really needs its wiring looked into.
Oh no.
What's wrong?
The spell. It's coming over me again. Listen, as much as it frightens me to say it, I think Rackham might be right. Everything I do is making it harder for me to resist the spell. I don't know if I'll be able to break out of it again. I need you to do this for me, Murphy.
I will, just tell me what to do.
Madame Planchette will be the first step of 3 journeys you'll need to undertake. 1 for each of my brothers, each finished only by reclaiming their key and placing it in this fireplace.
I won't stop until I've done it, Abigail. I will beat Rackham to the treasure.
For all our sakes, I hope you're right.
I was on my own again, and baffled by the situation I'd gotten myself into. The $13 million, the whole reason I'd traveled to the island and then quit my job, was gone. I had every desire to wait until sunrise and get that taxi back off the island just like I'd planned. Free of magic, free of ghosts, and free of the very real possibility that I'd be joining them. But heck, plans change. And now there was someone I needed to see.
May I help you?
Excuse my intrusion. Abigail Belmore told me to find you. She said you may be able to help me find her brothers.
Murphy McCallan, come in, come in. Sit yourself down and let me introduce myself. I am Madame Planchette, psychic medium, soothsayer of the supernatural, forecaster of fortunes. And you're the one who caused all these troubles. Am I right?
Things kinda got away from me.
And now, we need to get them under control. Now, how precisely can I help you?
It was a portrait of the explorer Xavier Belmore. It was a portrait of the scientist Cecil Belmore. It was a portrait of the actor Yardley Belmore. The man in the portrait was standing on a stage holding a cup and saucer. The man in the portrait was standing in front of a globe. The man in the portrait was seated at a desk with papers in his hand. The clairvoyant jingled from her array of earrings, necklaces, and bangles, enough jewelry to make Jasper Crumb jealous. She looked like a cross between a crystal ball and a mirror ball. I didn't think she'd be. I need to talk to Abigail's three brothers. Can we cast a summoning spell again to speak to their ghosts?
I'm afraid not, Murphy. The ghosts of Belmore Manor could only be summoned because our spirits were trapped here and hadn't moved on to the spirit realm. The Belmore brothers were murdered months before the wedding. Each has long since moved on, however reluctantly. It's very rare for someone to come back from the other side. It can happen, but I don't think there is much chance of that here.
How can we make contact with the three brothers?
We need to conduct a séance for each of the brothers, a way to contact them in the spirit realm and learn how and where they were killed. But each spirit is attuned differently. I will need you to gather some objects in order to contact them.
What do we need to contact Yardley Belmore?
Yardley was a man of leisure, accustomed to the finer things in life. As his portrait shows, we must read tea leaves to contact him. You must bring me a used teacup.
What do we need to contact Xavier Belmore?
Xavier was a man of the world, a traveler across the globe. As in his portrait, it is a globe that we will need to contact him, but one made of glass, a crystal ball.
What do we need to contact Cecil Belmore?
Cecil was a man of letters, skilled with the written word. Like the papers you see in his portrait, to contact him, you must bring me a spirit board, a sheet of letters through which Cecil may communicate.
How can I find those seance items when I can't even leave the house? I don't even know what's trapping me here.
That would be Abigail.
Abigail is keeping me trapped in the house?
She was. A last desperate act to keep you here and free her from Rackham's curse. Return to the front doors, Murphy, and they will now open for you. Scour the island, search the manor, and bring those 3 items back to me, and we can begin to locate the 3 brothers.
I'll start looking right away.
Good luck. And hurry. Rackham will soon know what you're trying to do. And unlike the other ghosts here, his powers are no longer confined to the house. Just one more thing before you go. I have something that may help you.
A necklace? What can I do with this?
Return it to whom it belongs. Now go. You do not have much time, and yet the mysteries of our entire island await.
It was time to test what Madame Planchette had told me, and see if I really could leave the house. So it was true. Right now I was living my very own ghost story, with a household of people who needed my help and a villainous phantom who had to be stopped. With Belmore Manor unlocked, the entirety of the house and island were now mine to explore. Somewhere out there were the Belmore brothers' 3 keys. My first task, to gather a crystal ball, a spirit board, and some tea leaves. The chalkboard was blank, presumably waiting a decorative welcome for the infernal marriage of an evil phantom to his cursed bride. A decorative chalkboard stood by the door. That wasn't going to work. Walking back into the ballroom, the throng of wedding guests had dispersed to their guest rooms, replaced by chairs and tables neatly set out on the dance floor. Preparations for the wedding were gathering speed like a boulder rolling down a mountainside, and I felt like I was smack in the middle of its path. The lady stood there with a face like a dribbling teapot. She exuded all the warmth of a cup of English tea that had been left out for a week. A grand table had been set up for the wedding that night. The table was too large for one person to move. Good evening, Mrs. Craddock.
Chairs at the far end, tables on the left.
Oh, it's you again.
Where have all the guests gone?
To their rooms to get ready. Here I am tidying up after the waltz while they just waltz away.
How long until the wedding begins?
Just a few hours. Oh, good gracious, a few hours. And there's still so much to do. I'm sorry, but I can't stand around chitter-chatting. There is much work to be done.
You seem a little stressed.
Correct. And with all due respect, and I'm sure we can both agree much respect isn't due at all, talking to you only makes it worse.
You need to find a way to relax, Mrs. Craddock.
I don't think people realize how this job takes a toll on one's health. My doctor told me I need to rethink my diet, so I've decided to go more continental, by which I mean a glass and a half of wine with each meal and polishing off the bottle before bedtime. A la Francais.
Where's the wedding cake gone?
I had to hide it.
Hide it? Why?
Somebody had already helped themselves to a slice of cake. And I bet I know exactly who it was, Mr. McCallan.
Oh, really?
That horrible pock boy. The knave with his hand on the tarts. Perhaps the Queen of Hearts had good reason for her framework of justice.
I'll leave you to get on with your work.
How thankful I am for life's little blessings.
Oh, it's you again.
Mallory, what are you doing here on the Belmore estate? I thought all the locals were too scared to wander around here.
What does it look like I'm doing? I'm having a tea party for my birthday. Happy birthday to me.
How cute. And what are you talking about with your new doll?
Our strategy for conquering mortal civilization.
Right.
It's rude not to introduce yourself, you know.
Mallory, have you been practicing ventriloquism?
Are you calling me a dummy?
You can talk?
I'm a head. Talking is one of the few things I can specialize in.
I didn't know that.
You didn't ask. My name, now that you're listening, is Sir Edward Teddington, or as Miss Wisp here calls me.
Shrunken Ted.
You're not doing very much tea drinking at your tea party.
I couldn't get a handle on the physiology of it. No arms, hands, or esophagus makes this a little trickier than it used to be.
And I am drinking it. Watch.
Not a fan?
Maybe it's an acquired taste.
But an important one to acquire. Tea was the fuel of the British Empire.
Then maybe it would be better in a gas tank.
Mallory was handling the teacup with the tentativeness of a toddler being given castor oil. May I have a cup of tea?
Nope.
Now, Mallory, what were we saying about manners?
Oh, yes, right. How do I put this delicately? I'm afraid this is a private engagement exclusively for the Sisterhood of Darkness.
Precisely. Remember, we may be planning on enveloping the world with a new totalitarian empire led by yourself as queen, but that's no reason to be impolite. Manners cost nothing. However, in this case, it is a private engagement.
Mallory, you shouldn't be inside the Belmore estate. Don't you know about the disappeared wedding?
You're asking a little girl about murder, black magic, and broken hearts?
Sorry, I don't want to give you nightmares.
Are you kidding me? I love this stuff! I wrote a paper on it last semester that prompted a parent-teacher intervention.
Haven't you seen the Phantom?
The grumpy guy in the tall hat? Yeah, I've seen him through the windows of the house.
Doesn't he give you nightmares?
Sure does, but those are the kind of dreams I like.
Do you know Sebastian Bach?
Unfortunately.
Why didn't you tell me?
I did.
Okay, yes, you did, but didn't you think it was worth mentioning he was a ghost?
I didn't think you'd be interested. Most grown-ups just don't believe me.
So you can see ghosts?
Ugh, I wish I couldn't. Most of them don't shut up, wailing through the windows all the time. Sebastian's the worst, the booger-brained bighead. Thinks he knows everything.
But the ghosts weren't visible until I cast the summoning spell.
To you, maybe. I mean, they're a lot more visible now. They were just shadowy, glowy things before.
The fact that I conducted an occult spell seemed to be lost on her. Knowing what I did about her, she probably did the same every day before breakfast. It was Sebastian that made you get the tin boat. He altered the toy catalog.
I knew it! Well, that's it. He's going to the top of the hit list once I'm Queen of the Universe. If you see him, tell him Pac's in for a shock.
So, Ted, that whole time I was carrying you around in my pocket...
Picking me up and stuffing me inside your vest without even a good evening? That's the living for you nowadays. Rude.
I'm very sorry. I've just never encountered a shrunken head that could talk to me before.
Maybe you have, and you just never introduced yourself.
I suppose, but I can't go around introducing myself to every inanimate object that I'm carrying on the off chance that they're supernaturally possessed, can I?
Did you just call me an object? That's objectification right there.
How did you end up as a shrunken head, Ted?
Can you believe this, Mallory? Asking about physical impairments just as brazenly as you like.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize it was a sore subject.
Well, I'll tell you anyway. Me and the old boys were embarking on a race to the Caribbean, known as the Coconut Rally. 14 days, 14 islands, with only what you can carry on your back to sustain you. It was all going so well, until day 9, when I was told to seek out a tribe of pygmies. Perhaps I got a bit lost, because the village I found was populated by villagers of average height.
Didn't that clue you in that you were in the wrong place?
I thought maybe they were just exceptionally tall pygmies. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, you know. They were a very welcoming people, filling me up on pork and bananas, a nice hot bath in a pot they hung over the fire. But it turns out they held a different philosophy when it comes to head placement and proportion. Still, no use grumbling. That's not the British way. Stiff upper lip. That's what we need.
Ted, how did you end up on Devil's Rock?
I was brought back here on a merchant ship by a strange man in a top hat who settled on me as a souvenir. Can you believe it? The indignity of being swapped and saying I was only worth 2 chickens.
I'd say at least 3.
Exactly.
And now you're helping a little girl take over the world, Ted?
Look, I was a little late getting in on the British Empire, and now its height has passed me by. I don't want to miss out again. This is my opportunity to get my foot on the ladder of a new attempt.
More like your chin on the ladder.
Very funny. You know, I have other interests too. You really need to get to know me as a person. I'm very well-rounded.
Of course you're round. You're just a head.
The jokes just keep coming, don't they?
Could I have your teacup if you're not drinking it?
I am drinking it! Well, I would if it didn't taste so bitter.
Well, I'll leave you two to your plans.
Long live the sisterhood!
It was a handmade necklace of a wooden compass broken in 2. I thought I'd keep that. I thought I'd... It was a small teaspoon for the tea party. Do you mind if I take this?
Good idea. You can be my butler. Then we bribe the kindergartners and use them for espionage.
Shh, shh, shh. He's back.
Mallory's teacup sat undisturbed in front of her. She stared at it with a scowl that implied its choice of flavor was a personal slight.
Hey, leave that alone. I'm drinking it.
I thought you didn't like it.
Maybe it's an acquired taste.
A bone china teapot sat at the center of the table. It was perhaps the first time in decades the gazebo had been used for a tea party. The teapot was empty. It was Shrunken Ted, faced with that most British of nightmares, an inability to drink a cup of tea. While Mallory looked like a little girl playing Let's Pretend, I was entirely convinced her dictatorial ambitions were nothing less than sincere.
Why is he still here?
I have absolutely no idea.
Nope. I needed to think of something else. I didn't think she'd be interested. My trek through the bayou was easier on the return. My destination glowed green through the bald cypress trees. And then I saw why. The Spirit Queen was now a smoldering wreck, the embers of the green fire still glowing from within. The telegrams I'd thrown away were still bobbing along the surface of the bayou. I wondered if I could reach the telegrams. Well, that answered that. It was the kind of water that made you question every ripple. Was it the breeze or something hungry? The green fire had reduced the Spirit Queen to a charred wreck. The riverboat looked like it might collapse at any moment. There was no way I was going to explore it. There was nothing else of interest in the shack. Life continued on in Dead Nettle, its citizens oblivious to the supernatural struggle happening on the far side of the island. Even with their predilection for local legend, I doubted they'd believe me if I told them. The ferryman had a face that told 1,000 stories, not one of which would be fit for polite company.
Welcome back!
The jeweler was a small, friendly-looking man with a placid smile. He must have been an elegant man in years gone by, but now was a little scruffy around. A small glass fishbowl. There was no way I could carry a fishbowl full of water and a live goldfish around with me. If I wanted it, the goldfish was going to need a new home first. The neck of the bottle was far too narrow for the pudgy little goldfish to swim through. Nope. Good evening, Mr. Crumb.
How can I help you?
How come you're working so late?
Well, the wife's gone to visit her cousin Winnie for a few days, and if I stayed in my bedroom, I'd just start going loopy.
I'm looking for 3 keys.
No, unless they're the gem-encrusted keys to a lady's heart, I don't think I can help you. I'm a jeweler, not a locksmith.
Have you heard of something called the coffin stone? Jasper's eyes grew to double their size with a look of both excitement and fear.
How do you know about that?
I'm starting to think it's real.
I thought you didn't believe my tale about the ghost ship.
I do now.
Then I'm happy to tell you everything I know. Now, don't be telling anyone this, but I've read the captain's log. and the coffin stone was what murdered my great-great-grandfather's crew. Try telling people that a little bit of rock could allow a single pirate to overrun a galleon, and you're laughed at. But that's exactly what he says happened. 86 crew members, all killed by a magic stone. Their souls dragged from their bodies.
Who was wielding the stone?
A pirate called Captain Skelet. Truth be told, he wasn't much of a pirate for the first years of his career on the high seas. But almost overnight, he became the most feared gentleman ever to fly the black flag.
What happened to him?
Nobody knows.
And the stone?
Nobody knows that either. But if you hear anything, do tell me.
I think I'll just look around for now.
I'm here if you need me.
Hello, my name's Murphy McCallan.
Hello, chum. Looking to hire a ferry?
Maybe?
Then come set sail with Crab Macready, when a ferry's really what you needy.
Crab's breath hit my face like a custard pie, a cloud of air reeking of cigarettes and stale beer.
Look, here's a promotional flag, so you can keep me in mind.
I'll treasure it.
Now, I can take you anywhere on the coast. Where are you looking to head to? Do you have a partner or an illicit liaison in mind? I do a very romantic sunset cruise.
Is this your ferry? It looks like it's held together with spit and glue.
That's right, but rest assured, my spit is remarkably viscous. You find yourself aboard the Creaky Crab 2. I am her captain, Crab Macready. I get most of my business ferrying over to the mainland when the tide's covered up the causeway.
Are you a member of the Captain's Club?
Oh, they banned me, those pompous buffoons. That Felix is full of himself.
What happened?
There used to be a club parrot called Squawkin' Hawkins, until he was taken away. Bird-napped, I'd say. See, I'm a big bird lover. They're very intelligent creatures, and I used to try to teach him poetry. Well, Felix Greer wasn't having none of that. I think he was getting jealous that the bird had more brains than him. He kicked me out. Well, I got a little upset, like anybody would. Words were exchanged, loudly, and he told me I wasn't welcome back. The cheek of it. Kicking me out when I'm a hard-working captain. That landlubber would get seasick using a washcloth.
Why do you like birds so much?
They're the sailors of the sky, even the ones that can't fly. You tell me, have you ever looked an emu in the eye and not felt a sense of kinship? Seen that look that says it wants to explore beyond the horizon?
I've never imagined an emu thinking anything different to that.
I love anything with a beak, except platypuses. Don't get me started on them. Now, I take it upon myself to look after the feathered friends on this island. Squawkin' Hawkins now lives on a perch on my balcony. I have a name for every seagull that flies over Dead Nettle. And I look after Doris.
Doris?
Doris the chicken, over at Baxter's Mill.
What happened to the Creaky Crab 1?
That's it over there, with its bow peeking out of the water. I was out in the bay last Mardi Gras and looked down into the inky depths. Honest to God, I saw a mermaid staring back at me. I rushed back into Dead Nettle with such fervour I forgot to slow the engine once we reached the docks.
Was it really a mermaid you saw?
Ah, turned out I'd forgot to take my wig off from the costume contest that night, and I'd just seen my own reflection.
I'd like to hire your ferry.
Sure, give me a map of where you want to go and I'll see if I can get you there. I'm the best ferryman this side of the Gulf. From Baton Rouge to the Bermuda Rectangle, I'm your man.
I thought it was called the Bermuda Triangle.
Well, sure it is now, ever since one of its sides mysteriously disappeared.
I'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.
The ladder was covered in rust from the salty sea.
Oh, look who's returned.
Good evening, Felix.
Remind me, did you say your name was Captain Knott?
My pseudonym, that's right, for marketing purposes.
Because I've been doing some research in the club archives, and it seems as though we already had a Captain Knott as a member about 10 years ago.
That would be my father, Captain Knott Sr. I'll pass on a hello next time I see him.
42 years as a captain, sailed each of the 7 seas.
That's the one. More at home on the waves.
It says in the records that he's deceased.
Might be harder than expected to pass on that hello, actually.
Drowned, apparently,
A mighty struggle.
while taking a bath.
Mainly a struggle with the plug, really.
Look, I'm on to you, Sonny. When Mr. Perkins gets back tomorrow, we'll be having an investigation. Captain Knott, or not a captain.
And until then,
Enjoy the club.
it was a plate of complimentary matchbooks.
These are complimentary matchbooks for members only.
I am a member.
Oh, yes. How silly of me to forget. There's a limit of 1 per member. Considering your membership is going to be extremely short-lived, consider yourself lucky you got one.
Hello again, Felix.
Hello again, sir.
How's the club tonight?
Buzzing.
That lively, huh?
No, I mean I just had to remove a wasp nest from the gentleman's lavatory.
Is the elevator still not fixed?
It hasn't been fixed for the last 7 months. I doubt it will miraculously start working for you tonight.
How did it break, anyway?
The city council rented out the whole club one day for a meeting to discuss a new town seal. Some sort of insignia representing Dead Nettle's history and culture. Unfortunately, the mayor misunderstood the brief and showed up with a seal of the aquatic type. 2 fins, whiskers, a little tricorn hat, and the moniker Captain Snoops. Took the entire council to wrestle him back into the elevator and get him down to the docks. And it overloaded the motor. And do you know what the real cherry on top was? He got the animal wrong. Captain Snoops was a sea lion, not a seal.
What's the difference?
An I, an O, and an N.
Crab McCready told me you kicked him out of the club for teaching a parrot poetry?
Yes, that's quite correct.
That doesn't seem very fair.
You didn't hear the poetry. If I may regale you, there was a young man from Bombay. Took the slow boat to China one day. He was pinned to the tiller by a frisky gorilla, and China's a bloody long way.
I see.
Apologies if we're in disagreement about whether that sort of material is appropriate for the Captain's Club.
Nope. Can't argue with that. Very fair conclusion. I best be casting off.
Farewell, Captain.
Avast, mateys! Shiver me timbers! 'Tis a pleasure to make your acquaintance, me hearties. Yo-ho!
What on earth are you talking about?
I think your lighthouse might have lured in a loon, Moot.
I thought you were captains. Isn't this how captains talk?
Not outside a Treasure Island novel. Do you expect us to carry parrots on our shoulders, too?
I tried that once in my life, and all I got was excrement down the back of my blazer.
Oh, right. While I was trapped on Devil's Rock, a map of the world wasn't going to be much use to me. A painted globe stood at the top of the stairs. The pinpricks across its surface implied it had either been used to plot out perilous voyages across the ocean waves or served as a replacement dartboard. The lighthouse keeper slumped in his chair, his face as weathered as the coastline he should have been illuminating. Good evening.
It's about time you got here. I've been waiting for you.
You have?
Darn right. Give me another sarsaparilla and be quick about it.
No, I'm not a waiter.
You're a captain? They keep getting younger and younger. Do they give you a free pair of floaties with your license nowadays?
Are you a captain?
I was, a long time ago. Captain Cuthbert Moot's the name. Now I'm the island's lighthouse keeper.
How come you're not captaining anymore?
I had a bit of a bump with a lighthouse.
If only lighthouses had some way of warning you they were there. The lighthouse keeper's nostrils huffed like a bull about to charge at a matador.
After I crashed the ship, I lost my job with the Belmore Trading Company. What's more, I was taken off the Belmore wedding guest list. Life's been one disappointment after another ever since. I used to be a king of the waves. Now I'm a bigger wreck than my ship.
How did you not see the lighthouse?
I was busy at the time. What are you, the captaincy board?
But you managed to keep your captain's license?
In a manner of speaking, the captaincy board has a sense of irony. After I crashed into the lighthouse, they made me take the job of lighthouse keeper to maintain my credentials.
Then shouldn't you be at the fort if you're the lighthouse keeper?
Yeah, it's a dreary place, and there's a damn fleabag cat there that won't leave me alone. Anyway, it's a clear night. If the fog comes in, I'll switch the light on. Otherwise, I'm staying right here.
What's wrong with the cat?
Blacktail? You see these scratch marks on my nose? The damn thing jumps for my head every time the badge on my hat catches the light.
You worked for the Belmore Trading Company?
Once upon a time, I was the captain of the SS Mysterium, flagship of the Belmore Trading Company fleet. I've captained more ocean voyages than you've taken baths. I might look like I should be hawking fish sticks at a market stall, but back then, I was at the top of my game, enjoying the finer things in life. Caviar in the finest restaurants, champagne at the finest resorts, dressing in the finest tuxedos. Oh, one little bump through my whole career down the plug hole.
I take it the Captain's Club doesn't compare.
It did once upon a time. This place used to be a model of a club. Now the only thing it'd be modeling would be a cardigan and a girdle.
So you weren't invited to the Belmore wedding?
No, I was snubbed. Years of captaining their flagship, and then I get forgotten like a dirty sock. I tried to convince Mrs. Craddock to add me to the list, but she's got a heart colder than a penguin's behind.
I was invited to the Belmore wedding.
What? You never told me that.
You never asked. Yeah, not a direct invitation from the Belmores, but I was invited as a +1.
Who invited you?
A little lady named Tallulah LaRue.
Why didn't you go?
Because she scared the hell out of me.
Isn't it lucky that you didn't go to the Belmore wedding?
Lucky? How by Neptune's beard could you call that lucky?
Because the whole wedding disappeared. Their lives were stolen from them, their souls trapped in a tormented house for eternity. If you'd have been there, you'd have disappeared too.
Oh, it just would have been nice to feel included, that's all.
Is there a way into the fort?
Not without the key, and I'm the one in charge of that. Do you know the reason for the big walls, the sturdy gates, the barrels of gunpowder, and the big boomy cannons? To keep people out!
Can you turn on the lighthouse beacon?
I don't know if you know how lighthouses work, but they only need to be lit up when visibility is low. As far as I can tell, it's a clear night, so until I see fog pouring through that window, I'm not doing a thing.
I better be off.
So long.
The trophy was a solid metal sphere in the shape of a billiard ball.
That trophy belongs to the club champion, and as I'm club champion, I'm telling you, hands off.
The stocky man stood over the billiard table wielding his cue like a staff, his eyes assessing the green baize battlefield in front of him. Good evening. My name's Murphy McCallan.
Good evening, Captain McCallan. Captain Gifford Pemberley at your service. That's right, I expect you've heard of me. Master of the Mississippi, tamer of the Tennessee, cuddler of the Colorado. Care to hit the table with me?
That's a very nice trophy in the corner.
Well, it didn't start out as a trophy. We needed something spherical, so we just gilded a cannonball from over at Fort de la Moore. Polished up like a trombone in a marching band. A lot of elbow grease went into that shine, and currently these wrists have enough lubrication for a 12-lane bowling alley.
Are you saying that's your trophy?
That's right, boy. Champion billiards player of the Captain's Club. Keeps the other captains on their toes. Or peg leg in the case of Wooden Willie.
Surely he can't like being called that.
Too true. I think his peg leg is actually ceramic, but then the alliteration doesn't work.
I'll join you in a game. What are we playing?
Billiards.
Should I set her up?
It is set up. This isn't American billiards, boy. We're playing English billiards. A fine game which requires only 3 balls. A white for me, a yellow for you, and a red we share.
I haven't heard of English billiards before.
I learned it when I toured the gambling halls of London back in 1922. It's a game with far more depth and skill than pool or snooker. points are awarded not just for potting, but by the flair with which strikes are accomplished. More points can be earned with a fanciful shot than by a simple pocketing.
So I'm not trying to get the balls in the little holes?
Look, I think we might be a bit out of your depth with this. Why don't we keep it simple? The winner is the one who can bounce the red ball off the cushions the most times.
I can do that.
Then let's play. I'm afraid it'll have to be with dry cues. For some reason, the billiard chalk's gone missing.
I wonder how that happened.
Sevens! Something to be proud of. Threes. Too bad, Captain McCallum. It seems my standing as champion of the Captain's Club continues.
Hello again, Cap.
Welcome back, Captain McCallum.
Are you a famous riverboat captain?
You haven't heard of me?
I'm sorry, I don't have a lot of experience with riverboats.
Don't tell me you're one of those jelly-legged sea captains.
Jelly-legged? At least we sea captains do proper sailing, with charts, by the stars, across vast seas and oceans, hundreds of miles from land. You riverboat captains only have two directions, upriver or downriver.
Don't listen to him. He doesn't understand the perils of the riverways. I got my start in Baton Rouge. All I needed to do was teach the Mississippi that I was its master. If it wasn't going to do as it was told, it would get a damn good spanking until it fell in line.
Have you been a member of the Captain's Club long?
I'd say so. I got my license when I was 25. When my uncle Augustus passed away, I sold his gumbo restaurant and purchased a diamond of a riverboat. I ran pleasure cruises up the waterways of Devil's Rock for years.
Are you still a captain?
Technically, but it's hard to put into practice when you no longer have a boat.
What happened?
I got a little overconfident drinking whiskey and gambled my riverboat away years ago. My wife left me because she said I had a gambling addiction, but I still think I can win her back.
Were you the former captain of the Spirit Queen?
That's the one, dear boy.
So you must be interested in ghosts.
I beg your pardon?
Having named your riverboat the Spirit Queen.
It's not named after ghosts, boy. It's named after bourbon, gin, tequila, whiskey. Those are the spirits that haunt me.
I'm sorry to tell you this, but the Spirit Queen burned down.
Oh, what a sad day. I knew it would happen sooner or later. It was that damn fool Moray, wasn't it? He never loved her the way I did. She was one in a million. A personality as fierce as the Mississippi. A sway when she moved that could hypnotize any man. And curves in all the right places.
Are we still talking about a boat? Are you going to patch things up with Mrs. Pemberley?
Oh, I'm trying. I had a bouquet of flowers delivered to her this morning.
Is there a florist in Dead Nettle?
No, I just took them out of that window box over by Moot. Don't tell Felix, or they'll end up on my tab.
I'd best be running along. Enjoy your evening.
Farewell, Captain McCallum.
You'll find a brighter tomorrow after the clouds of today. Some little bluebird will find you.
It was an ornate iron window box. Unlike the others, this one had no flowers in it. Empty of flowers, I could see that the window box was securely attached to the club's masonry. It was the cotton flag that Crab, the ferryman, had given me, embroidered with his company logo. I needed to think of something else. Nope. I didn't need to set fire to that. I needed to think of something. It was a small leather pouch. Currently, it was empty. I needed to... Nope. Ned fished contentedly on the dock. I couldn't talk to him from up on the balcony.
Well, aren't you a sight for sore eyes? I didn't think I'd be seeing you again, Mac. I thought you'd be swimming back to the mainland. Or, well, swimming with the fishes. How's the auditing going?
Well, I quit my job.
You quit? I thought that was the whole reason you were here in the first place.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Why you doing this, Mac? Don't you have a family you need to get back to? Away from the ghost stories?
I don't have any family. I never have. I was found.
Found?
As a baby, I was left on the doorstep of an orphanage with just a blanket and a piece of paper with my name on it. Growing up, I always felt alone, like I was missing someone who loved me. The last orphanage I was in was above a bookstore called Eerie Echoes, and I used to pick up the dime novels that got thrown out at the end of each month. My favorites were always the scary ones.
Why did you like the scary stories so much?
I felt like if I could read the scariest story I could find, it would make my life at the time seem a little less scary by comparison.
That's heartbreaking, Mac.
But that's why I'm still here. I always wanted to be in one of those stories, and now I am. I don't have much of a past, but this is a chance to make myself a future.
Well, I hope you find what you're searching for. But don't say I didn't warn you.
Still fishing?
You won't believe this, Mac. Squibb's record was ruled invalid. He was overheard down at Spinelli's bar boasting about how he put ball bearings inside the Pengoza to make it heavier. Can you believe the nerve of some people?
The despicable things they'll do.
It means I'm right behind you, buddy. Just one lucky catch, and I'll be bumping you down to second place.
Is that a grill you've got there, Ned?
14 hours out here will give anyone an appetite. I'm not giving up just yet, but it'll be supper time soon. You're welcome to join me.
I think I might know what happened at Belmore Manor on the night of the disappearance.
I've told you, Mac. I don't want to hear no more about it.
But I think I know who the Phantom is.
Murphy, don't even say the name. I've seen that aberration once, and that was enough. I saw those faces laughing at me every night for months. I won't go through that again.
Ned's fear was real. I can only imagine what 3 decades of those faces would do to a person. Do you remember the Belmore Trading Company ever unloading a coffin at these docks?
You know, now that you mention it, that does ring a bell. Yeah, back when I first started out, the Belmore's flagship, the SS Mysterium, came back into port a few days late, and Mr. Rackham rustled up a bunch of us roustabouts to help unload it, way earlier than we usually be out. Yeah, I remember that morning. It's almost as much as the bonus pay we got for the early hours.
Did you find out what was in it?
I don't think we paid it much mind. It was rare, but people did die at sea back in those days. Although saying that, they'd usually be buried at sea too. I don't remember any fanfare about it, but it must have been someone important in there.
Or something. Do you miss working on the docks?
I wouldn't give up fishing for it, but I have good memories of those times. Good, honest teamwork. Working outdoors, singing shanties, and swapping stories. Though to be honest, some of the tales they tell may have been a little exaggerated.
Catch you later, Ned.
See you around, Mac.
It was a small metal grill currently unlit, just big enough for one fish. I had more important things to focus on than my stomach. The fisherman's rod sat on the edge of the dock. I had more important things. That wasn't going to work. Want me to light her up, Ned?
Not just yet, Mac. I got a bit more fishing to do before I reward myself.
The taxidermied fish hung on the dock scales, its weight significantly inflated by the heavy iron horseshoe hidden inside. I'd had enough of carrying these I decided to leave it there. A fishing net had been stretched between two poles to dry, and then clearly forgotten about. The fishing net was worn and useless. Using it would have been like trying to catch soup with a sieve. It was a telegraph mast, with cables radiating outwards to the buildings surrounding it. It was a billboard advertising Bloom's canned beef. Of all the ways to eat beef, the canned form was definitely at the bottom of my list of preferences. A notice board stood outside the newspaper office, containing a mixture of advertisements and front pages from previous issues. The billboard poster was peeling away to reveal layers of advertisements underneath, like some sort of consumeristic onion. Of all of the papers pinned to the board, one article stood out to me. It showed the beaming face of a rotund fisherman on the docks with a headline declaring he'd just broken the island's heaviest catch record. Of all of the papers, it showed the beaming face.
Oh, what a piece of junk! So much as a nudge and the whole thing locks up. Work, damn you!
That almost hit me.
Almost isn't good enough. A few inches over and we could have had a lovely headline about a gory workplace accident. Of course this happens right
Without a third spring, the printing press appeared to be unbalanced and had jammed in place.
on. Hands off, McAllen. This is delicate business.
Evelyn was pulling at the jammed. What seems to be the problem?
The till coil snapped off and almost had my eye out.
Your eye?
Can you believe it? I try to get a story that's fit to print and instead the printing press has a fit. Why can't I get one of those electric machines like they've got at the New Orleans Post?
Can I help fix it?
The press needs a new coil, but the only manufacturer is an 82-year-old machinist in Boise, Idaho. Getting a replacement will take weeks.
Can I help fix it?
Maybe, if you can magic up a new coil.
Can I help fix it?
Maybe.
There was no way I was going to get past the newspaper editor to get it. Besides, I didn't know how to operate it.
I'm the only one allowed behind the desk, McAllen.
Sorry!
Maybe if I put that there.
The back wall of the newspaper office was filled with filing cabinets. From the labels on the front, they looked to be archived issues of the Juniper Parish Gazette.
This is why I need to switch to electric.
I didn't think. The tip of a wooden boat poked above the water. What do you think of this necklace?
That's some nice work. A lot of the sailors who worked the Belmore ships used to make things like that.
I didn't need to show him that again. I didn't. What do you think of this flag?
Oh, you haven't chartered Crab's Ferry, have you? That man steers his boat like it was a bumper car.
I didn't think he'd be interested. What do you think of this?
I didn't know you were a captain, Mac.
Well, technically I'm not.
Well, you could have fooled me.
I didn't need. I thought I should keep quiet about summoning the ghosts of Belmore Manor. Ned clearly didn't approve of what I was doing, and there might have been a good reason for that. What do you think of this?
How'd you get a hold of a Gree-Gree, Murphy? You be careful with that. Only somebody who knows what they're doing should be in charge of one of those.
The tide was still high as I returned to the Causeway Beach, while the sands were now the purlieu of a rather strange gentleman jabbing at the rocks with a walking stick. The wiry man was diligently searching the beach, looking like the awkward love child of Sherlock Holmes and a praying mantis. The book was just one of an assortment of items set up on a folding table, apparently useful in the beachcomber searching. The beachcomber's vacuum flask stood on the table. All that combing would wear anyone out. The beachcomber's vacuum flask stood on the table. All that combing would wear anyone out. I picked up the vacuum flask from the portable table. I glanced at the book's cover and was more than surprised to read the title, Dunstan the Dinosaur, above a drawing of a bulbous yellow triceratops walking on two legs and wearing a bowler hat. I glanced at the beach was dotted by tide pools, partly filled with seawater.
Careful where you step! Look, another one!
Another what?
A pebble! Don't step on them.
There are pebbles all over this beach. There's not many places I could stand that don't have them.
But they could be important.
My name's Murphy McCallan. Nice to meet you.
Oh, yes. Hello. Pleased to meet you. I'm Muffy Carlyle.
Wait, I think I've heard of you. Doesn't your family run a banking firm in New York?
That's the one. Are you familiar with the Carlyle Provincial Accounts and Joint Stock Corporation?
Actually, the reason I remembered you was because I was amazed the owner had a son named Muffy.
It's a nickname. Nanny gave it to me because my ears were always cold.
What's so important about the pebbles?
It's not the pebbles themselves. It's what's inside them.
What's inside the pebbles?
Dinosaurs.
I'm sorry. I think I'm missing something here. You think there are dinosaurs living inside the rocks?
Not living. They're extinct. So I've been told. But skulls, bones, fossils.
Oh, you're a fossil hunter?
That's right. But this beach seems terrible for them.
Why is this beach terrible for fossil hunting?
Too many people wandering across here. The place has been picked dry. I need somewhere secluded. A beach no one ever goes to. Are you from around here? Do you know anywhere like that?
I'm afraid I don't.
Well, do let me know if you find anywhere. I'd pay a pretty penny to go somewhere with potential.
Have you found many fossils before?
Only one. It was in our flower garden. The summer house, actually.
Fascinating. Where did you find it?
In a plant pot.
A plant pot? Shouldn't it have been in the ground?
Yes. Nanny told me she planted it there for me to find. Couldn't stand the look of disappointment on my face.
Oh, this was when you were a child.
No, last week.
What's that book over there on the table?
That's my research text, all about dinosaurs.
A paleontology textbook?
No, Dunstan the Dinosaur. A thrilling series of books for the young reader. And the reader who is young at heart. My favorite is Dunstan and the Mysterious Meteor from Mars.
Have you been out here long?
Just a couple of hours. Rufus dropped me off just after supper.
Dropped you off, but the causeway is flooded over.
I didn't come via the causeway. I got here on the yacht.
You have a boat?
The Plucky Plesiosaur. I named it myself.
Do you work for your father's company too?
That's right. I'm Executive Director of New Initiatives.
And what exactly does that entail?
Oh, I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. But Papa does say it requires me to be out of the office as much as humanly possible. Muffy, he tells me, if I have to see your face around here, I'll end up moving to Tibet and joining a monastery. So even if I'm not sure exactly what my job is, clearly it is very important.
Well, good luck with your search.
I'll never give up. That's the dinosaur way.
I thought I'd keep the flask to myself. Surely he wouldn't mind me borrowing it for a little while. The bottle I was carrying would be a better choice for that. I didn't need to keep it hot or cold. If I wanted to fill the bottle, it was best to do it with the tide, lest my fingers get nipped by some unseen lurking crab. It was a soda bottle I'd filled up with water. Returning to St. Juniper's Church, it was clear by the illuminated windows and the repetitive hum of a newly placed generator that the rum runners had made themselves at home. The window looked into the church, if you could see through the decades of dust and grime. I could see the shadows of the rum runners moving around inside the church, but I didn't want to get too close in case they saw me too. Embedded into the stony hillside was a large, intricately carved crypt, with a decorative geometric pattern on its stone doors. The graveyard was dotted with headstones, some old, some young, some legible, some not. A fresh grave was being dug in the cemetery. I didn't want to get too close. Edgar the gravedigger was living up to his job description, up to his waist in a newly dug grave. Good evening, Edgar.
Ah, blast it. Not again. I go all night as the only one in this cemetery with a pulse. Then here you are bringing me 2 steps closer to losing it. What do you want now?
Just taking a look around. It's peaceful here.
It was.
What are you digging?
I thought the cemetery could do with a swimming pool. Put out some deck chairs, maybe a tiki bar. What do you think I'm digging? Another grave.
Who's this one for?
Reginald Goff. He was the state executioner in the next parish over.
How did he die?
His last convict was a bit nervous about being executed by the electric chair. When Goff asked him if he had any final requests, the convict asked if he could hold his hand for support.
Shocking.
Then I've got Marigold McGee to deal with before I can clock off. That'll be a headache.
What's so difficult about Marigold McGee?
She asked for her remains to be scattered across the island.
That doesn't seem so bad.
The problem is she didn't want to be cremated.
The ghost stories are real.
Well, I don't want to hear them. I don't like to think about ghosts.
Why not?
Because they'd be bad for business. I have my work cut out here with the dead as it is. Imagine if they came back asking for a refund.
Has the cemetery been here long?
This cemetery is the whole reason Devil's Rock is populated. Back when the mainland was first settled, they used to ship off the bodies of undesirables to be buried here. The criminals and paupers. St. Juniper's Church up on the hill was one of the first structures here, along with the fort. So that's what this place became. A cemetery island. A place where only Beelzebub himself would take the bodies that were interred in its soil. The Devil's Rock.
Creepy. I think the rum runners are using the church as a hideout.
What do you want me to do about it? My job description says I deal with the outside. It's the vicar's responsibility to take care of the inside. I'm just contracted for the grounds and the graves.
Do you know what happened to the vicar of St. Juniper's Church?
Foskett was his name. Disappeared along with everyone else at the manor during the Belmore wedding.
Did you get along with him?
No! Miserable guy he was. Fortunately, we came to an understanding.
An understanding?
Let's just say that one night, I might have witnessed a certain clergyman through the vestry window. Off his head on communion wine, wearing a crinoline over his cassock, singing, "We three kings of Jackson Square, selling stockings a nickel a pair." He couldn't look me in the eye after that. The only way we communicated was through notes on the parish bulletin board. And that's the way I liked it.
There's a dead body over at Belmore Manor hanging from a tree.
So, what do you want me to do about it?
Shouldn't you bury it?
If it manages to wander its way over here, I'll bury it. Until then, I'm not stepping foot onto the Belmore estate. I've heard the stories about the Phantom, and I'm not risking my shut-eye to rescue a cadaver from a tree like some stuck kitten.
Do you know who the hanged man is?
Beats me. But from what I've heard, it's been there ever since that wedding night.
I best be running along.
Goodbye.
The graveyard was dotted with headstones. Some old, some young, some legible, some not. The graveyard was dotted. The graveyard was dotted. A rusty tin can sat on the ground. Appetizing. Now that I'd looked upon the lifeless face of Comptroller Grimes, it didn't feel appropriate to give his coffin a wiggle. Now that I'd looked... A rusty tin... appetizing. The tin was full of nothing but holes. I didn't need to warm my hands on the stove. It was already a humid night, and the fire was more useful at keeping bugs away from the shack than keeping anyone toasty. I couldn't do that. I didn't think he'd be interested in that. It was the gunpowder barrel the cat had knocked over, now spilling out its contents onto the cold stone floor. I took a handful of the spilled gunpowder. I already had some gun. I couldn't get to the staircase while the gate was locked. The chicken exuded an air of confidence and rebellion. I liked that in a chicken. Now that the chicken was enjoying the fresh air, there was nothing of interest in the chicken coop. Doris! Cluck, 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 bark. A pile of rotting wood lay at the side of the path. The wood was old and rotting. It wasn't going to... I tried the door, but it was locked. Good evening, Father Foskett.
Hello again, my child.
Are you prepared for the ceremony?
In every way, except one. I still haven't found my Bible.
Shouldn't you be looking for it?
The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. Furthermore, I have no idea where to look, but I would very much like to see it returned to me.
We 3 kings of Jackson Square, selling stockings a nickel a pair.
Oh, how drastic, no elastic, not very safe to wear. I'm sorry, I don't know where that came from.
I best be heading off.
May God be with you.
Good evening, Colonel.
What?
I had nothing else to say to the Colonel. Hidden in the mantelpiece carvings were 3 keyholes to open the secret entrance to the Belmore vault. The trunk was empty. The door was locked. Abigail's ghost was once again back in her bedroom, now fully consumed by the wicked spell Rackham had trapped her in. The minutes left before he married her were falling away like dominoes. Don't worry, Abigail. I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm going to help you. I didn't need to take it again. It was more valuable to Abigail than me. It was going to be best to leave it there. I couldn't see anything special about the phonograph's reflection. The contrast between the bride and her reflection was clear. While the bride in front of me buried her face in sadness, her reflection was clearly at the dawn of the happiest day of her life. If only she knew what was to come. It was an untouched slice of wedding cake. It was a simple gold ring. The mirror's reflection showed a wedding band, one of the items I needed to bring to Abigail. A piece of wedding cake could be seen. It was a bridal veil. A veil lay on the table. A veil lay on the table. It was more valuable to Abigail than me. It was the bride's reflection. It was the last rose in the... Playing the phonograph wouldn't have been any help anymore. I needed a way to make Mallory's tea more palatable. I dunked the teaspoon into the molasses. An old carriage wheel sat discarded in the grass. The wheel was too heavy to move. It was Tallulah LaRue's parasol blown onto the carriage house after I dropped it on the roof. The parasol had landed decidedly out of reach. The parasol had landed...
Then we stockpile the phys ed equipment and use the hockey sticks as swords.
Quiet! Quiet! It's him again.
Then we take over the monkey bars and rename it Fort Mallory.
Ah! Look who's back.
It was a small silver teaspoon that had been dunked in sticky molasses. That was going to be better in her tea.
What did you just put in my tea?
Try it now.
Careful, Mallory. It could be poisoned.
Does this dope look smart enough to brew poison?
Good point. He'd probably give it a taste test. Bottoms up, my girl. Drink on.
Hey, that tastes pretty good.
I thought you'd like it.
Sure did. I drank the whole cup.
Let me clear this away for you.
Good, butler. You shall be spared the dungeons.
A table and chairs sat inside the gazebo, an echo of better days. The maid folded the blankets with a wick. I knew her body had a tenuous hold on the world around us, but it seemed like...
Welcome back, Murphy McCallan. Take a seat.
I've brought you the tea leaves.
Wonderful. That will work to contact Yardley. Be quiet now, Murphy. I need to concentrate. Yardley Belmore, heed our plea. Where was your life stolen from thee? I sense a crypt, deep below the ground, where Yardley, unknown to him, has been drugged. Among alcoves of the dead, Yardley is still alive as brick by brick. He is being entombed within the crypt. The drug may wear off, but he has no means of escape. Trapped! Look at the painting! Yardley's body is still bricked up inside that crypt. The sanctuary crypt. You must find a way inside. There is a tunnel, once used for safety, but now used for salvation. Something in Yardley's bedroom will help you.
Two tanks stood beside the dressing table, absent of any information of what was inside them. I opened the tap on the gas tank. Nozzles hissed, a cloud of cold mist billowed out, and from the machine came a smattering of dry ice. There was already dry ice in the tray. It was a dry ice machine used to create smoke effects in theatrical productions. I couldn't pick up the dry ice with my bare hands. That didn't work. That wasn't going to work. That didn't work. It was a dry ice machine used to create smoke effects in theatrical production. It was a mound of dry ice that had clattered out of the machine. It was a wall-mounted mirror surrounded with bulbs, like one you'd find in the dressing room of a theater. I needed to think of something else. I couldn't do that. It was an empty soda bottle. I needed to think of something else. It was a large trunk, beautifully decorated if it wasn't for the bashes and scuffs all over it. The chest contained only a myriad of theatrical costumes, not one of which I wanted to wear around the island. The chest contained only... It was a book on magic tricks open to a double-page spread about vanishing illusions. Well, Yardley had certainly accomplished that. I had more urgent things to do than cozy up with a book. It was a wall-mounted mirror surrounded with bulbs, like one you'd find in the dressing room of a theater. Looking good, Murphy. No amount of force is going to open the door. I was definitely trapped here. No amount of force is going to open the door. I was definitely trapped here. No amount of Are you the one people in the house call the parlor witch?
I've heard that they do. The Belmore brothers approached me to help research the coffin stone. The brothers did everything they could to understand it. A never-ending investigation into science and the supernatural, ranging from the Atlantic to the Pacific. To my deep regret, I was never able to find a way to destroy the stone's power. With no way to destroy it, the only option was to lock it away where no one could find it.
In the vault beneath the house?
That's right. Deep below the house, within a labyrinth of caves, where we pray no one finds it.
The last time I messed around with this kind of thing, I ended up releasing an evil spirit.
Yes, I sensed what happened with Dr. Moray. I'm afraid that man was lured in by theatrics and promises of power he never actually held.
It looked like he had powers to me.
Rackham's spirit had been reaching out for someone he could dupe, but Rackham was always the puppeteer. Moray had no powers whatsoever, except for those manifested by Rackham.
Does Rackham have powers of his own?
I'm afraid he does, Murphy, although I discovered that far too late, to our great cost. I like to think of myself as knowledgeable about magic, but even I'm not sure what twisted powers Rackham wielded to project himself outside of the house. He seems to have power over visions and nightmares, and use that to put his plan into action.
Is it voodoo?
No.
But the summoning spell that I cast, that seemed like voodoo.
The manuscript you carry in your pocket is far older than the origins of voodoo in this region. It is a real spell. The icons of voodoo that adorn it are merely a distraction. I suspect Rackham has a knowledge of magic far older.
So it's a forgery?
More something in disguise.
Why couldn't he get Dr. Moray to cast a summoning spell?
A wise question. Magic doesn't work equally for everyone. Each spell depends on the person who casts it. Some spells work only for someone whose heart believes. Others work only for the person who rightfully owns the talisman. Some spells, no matter how much is invested in them, simply don't work at all. Moray was the bait, but Rackham needed someone more attuned to actually complete the spell.
I traded Dr. Moray for the gree that enabled the summoning spell.
No, Murphy. Moray may have been the broker, but you cast your trade into his spirit pool. You traded Rackham for the gree, the same gree that unleashed that terrible spell on Abigail.
I should get back to trying.
May fate be in.
I've brought you the tea leaves.
Wonderful. That will work to contact Yardley. Be quiet now, Murphy. I need to concentrate. Yardley Belmore, heed our plea. Where was your life stolen from thee? I sense a crypt, deep below the ground, where Yardley, unknown to him, has been drugged. Among alcoves of the dead, Yardley is still alive as brick by brick. He is being entombed within the crypt. The drug may wear off, but he has no means of escape. Trapped! Look at the painting! Yardley's body is still bricked up inside that crypt. The sanctuary crypt. You must find a way inside. There is a tunnel, once used for safety, but now used for salvation. Something in Yardley's bedroom will help you.
I have some more questions.
Ask a...
Tell me again, how can I find the body of Yardley Belmore?
Yardley's body is still bricked up inside that crypt. You must find a way inside. There is a tunnel, once used for safety, but now used for salvation. Something in Yardley's bedroom will help you.
I should get back.
May fate be...
It was a machine hooked up to tanks. 2 tanks stood beside the dressing table, absent of any information of what was inside them. I opened the tap on the gas tank. Nozzles hissed, a cloud of cold mist billowed out, and from the machine came a smattering of dry ice. It was a mound of dry ice that I couldn't pick up. Without some insulation, the dry ice would have... I collected the dry ice in the flask. That would keep it from melting, at least for the time being. The dry ice clattered into the metal window box. I filled the bottle with water from the fountain. I poured the contents of the bottle onto the dry ice, and immediately it started to evaporate, filling the area with mist. Good evening, Captain Moot.
If you say...
Look, There's fog outside the window.
I can't see any.
Maybe if you just stand up, you'll definitely see it. He looked at me like I'd served surf and turf to a vegetarian. You're not getting out of your chair, are you?
Nope.
I better be off.
So long.
It was an empty vacuum flask, used to insulate drinks so they stayed hot or cold. I filled the bottle. I didn't need to pour water on that. The window box was filled with dry ice, now rapidly condensing. I could see the mist billowing up just beyond the frame, but it was clear that a draft from inside the captain's club was blowing it away from the window. I could see the mist billowing up just beyond the frame, but it was clear that a draft from inside the captain's club was blowing it. I flicked the switch.
Waiter!
I told you, I don't work here.
Do you know how to work a lock at least?
Sure I do.
Right. Well, the fog's coming in, and someone needs to switch on the lighthouse light. I would do it myself, but that fort's danker than the inside of a sailor's trousers. Use this key to unlock the gate, then turn on the light with the switch on the ramparts. Think you can handle that?
I'm on it. I didn't think Captain Moot wanted to talk. In all honesty, the feeling was mutual. I took a handful of the spilled gunpowder. On the wall, an electric lantern glowed brightly. There wasn't anything to do with the... It was the gunpowder barrel the A coat of arms was carved in stone above the staircase. The coat of arms depicted 4 lions surrounding a central flower, topped by a medieval tower. The coat of arms depicted 4 lions surrounding a central flower, topped by a From the fort ramparts, I had an unobstructed view across the entire southeastern coast of the island. Cliffs and crags, waves and water, and an endless horizon. It was the switch that turned the lighthouse light on and off. The central tower of the fort housed a large electric lighthouse. The ragged coast of Devil's Rock stretched into the distance. With so many coves and caves along the coast, it was difficult to make out what was what. The lighthouse light was shining out to sea. An old ramrod used for loading the cannon still leaned against the turret. I poured the gunpowder into the cannon. I needed to load the cannon first. It was the wheel that controlled the rotation of the lighthouse. I decided to leave the lighthouse light on. Embedded into the stony hillside was a large, intricately carved crypt with a decorative geometric pattern on its stone doors. I couldn't see any way to open the crypt door. Not a doorknob, not a keyhole. Whoever sealed this up intended to seal it up for good. Good evening, Edgar.
Ah,
Is that the sanctuary crypt in the hillside?
that's right. Must be the oldest crypt in the cemetery.
Is there a way inside?
Not that I know of. I've never been in there. I don't think it's been used for centuries. There's a local legend that a tunnel runs into the crypt from the church. An old escape route. But if it's real, I've never found it.
What's that carving on the front of the sanctuary crypt?
Beats me. Just a fancy schmancy decoration, I assumed. But now that you mention it, I do think I've seen that pattern somewhere before.
I best be running along.
Goodbye.
Against the church wall, a gasoline generator puttered away, with cables running into the church through a shattered window. It was an empty socket for an alternate fuse. It was a fuse in the generator to ensure the electrics didn't get overloaded. The sticker read, "Property of the Dead Nettle Police Department, not to be removed." It was a peeling sticker on an unappealing gasoline generator. Without a second fuse installed, the dial refused to turn. It was the dial used to alternate between the two fuse sockets. It was a fuse in the generator to ensure the electrics didn't get overloaded. I didn't need the fuse. I didn't want to make a hole.
Musket! Did you hear that?
Will you stop twitching, Morris? You're making me nervous.
Sorry, boss. I just don't know if we should be doing this.
Doing what?
Using a church for morally dubious activities. Theology lays out pathways and guidelines to keep us on the moral road to righteousness.
Did one of those barrels hit you on the head, Morris? Quit your belly aching. What's the worst that could happen?
I'm getting the spooks, boss. This church has a lot of dead people. What if they don't like us being in here?
Is that what you're worried about? Ghosts ain't real. Now hush up about it.
I don't know, boss. The scientific consensus on paranormal activity still seems to be inconclusive. I read a book about it last week, and it's really giving me the heebie-jeebies.
What have I told you about reading? It's no good for you. It gives you delusions of grandeur and indigestion.
Sorry, boss.
Just for the sake of argument, this book you was reading. What did it say about ghosts?
It said that there are 3 signs for detecting paranormal activity.
What's the first sign?
First, the temperature drops as the ghost presence descends upon the locality.
Well then, until we start getting the chills, there ain't nothing to worry about.
It was a bell rope stretching up into the tower above. It was a hand crank that I deduced was used by the rum runners to start up their decrepit jalopy outside. I didn't think the rum runners would appreciate me offering to start up their jalopy for them. A silver collection plate sat on the crate. It wasn't doing much collecting anymore. Rows of old pews filled the church, some pushed carelessly aside to make room for more barrels. Now wasn't the time for a sit-down. The statue scowled at me like a disapproving teacher. I couldn't see anything to do with the statue.
I'm getting the shivers, boss. It feels like I got a brain freeze, and I ain't even slammed down a snow cone.
You don't got a brain to get froze. It is feeling chilly, though, ain't it?
That's the first sign of ghosts, boss.
Don't be a crybaby. But just for safety, what's the second sign of ghosts?
The ghost's presence begins to interfere with the electric fields, most commonly seen manifesting as flickering lights.
The cold air from the dry ice was being blown across to the rum runners by the fan. The shield now had what looked like a bullet hole in it. It was a wooden cabinet covered in small drawers used to find specific books throughout the vast library. I didn't need to search for a book right now. I already felt like I was in one. The bookshelves were filled with tomes on every subject I could imagine, astronomy to music, numerology to zoology, each with faded spines and dusty covers. I wondered if the shelves held any books on battling ghostly curses, but that seemed a little too niche. I'd had enough of guns for the night. The small mahogany table held an assortment of paraphernalia. As I descended back into the cellar, the lack of mechanical noise quickly revealed that the barrel lift was no longer working. The barrel lift wasn't working anymore. Looking at the fuse box, it was clear to see why the barrel lift no longer moved. The fuse had blown, taking the small glass cover with it. With questionable regard for my own safety, I pulled the damaged fuse from its socket. Knowing the erratic surges of electricity that must have been flowing through the wire into the barrel lift, I decided it was wiser not to do any more rewiring. The box was filled with assorted fireworks. No expense was being spared on the wedding after-party. I took one of the fireworks. The logo on the side revealed that it was called the Whizzer. I'd known a boy in elementary school with the same nickname. I already had a firework. I didn't need another. Now that the cellar was drying out, its once flooded flagstones had quickly been filled with a chaotic assortment of wedding trinkets and matrimonial necessities required for the impending celebrations. I considered looking through the boxes, but doubted my immediate situation needed a set of matching crockery or monogrammed dish towels. There was nothing large that I needed to move. It was a hand truck. If flickering lights were what would scare the rum runners, it was time to do some rewiring. I turned the dial to redirect the electricity through the faulty fuse.
Boss! The lights are flickering!
That's gotta be a coincidence.
Or a sign of ghosts!
What did you say the third sign of paranormal activity was, Morris?
The tolling of a bell!
If the tolling of a bell was the third sign of ghostly activity, it was time to ring in the witching hour.
The bell!
A chill in the air. Flickering lights. The tolling of the bell.
Do you think it's...
Ghost! Run for your life! Start, you blasted car!
Why are we not moving, Musket?
Because out of that long line of automobiles on Delancey Street, you decided to steal something less reliable than a politician's promise! Start, you rust bucket!
It started, Musket.
There we go. And now, we floor it.
We crashed, Musket.
I can see that we crashed, Morris. Well, there's only one thing we can do.
What's that, boss?
Run for our lives!
Scattered throughout the church were the rum runners' barrels, each filled with illicit alcohol. Walking into the church, I was presented with the sight of the stained glass window illuminated beautifully by the lighthouse beam. They lined up perfectly. I didn't need any more rum. I couldn't see anything to do with the statue. If the statue held any secrets, I couldn't decipher them. The window is even more beautiful in person, adorning the altar below it like a crown. And that's when I noticed something. Below the window was a cross-shaped indentation in the wood that made me think something was missing. That didn't work. A book had fallen down the side of the cabinet, tucked between it and the wall. Taking the book, I realized it was an old Bible, with a thicker layer of dust than a nudist's summer wardrobe. The middle of the stained glass window depicted a church and a fort with a beam of light shining between them. The top of the stained glass window consisted of 4 circles, each surrounded by 4 leaf-shaped pieces. The top of the stained glass window consisted of 4 circles, each surrounded by 4 leaf. With the lighthouse light illuminating the window, I could now make out the colors of the stained glass. Now that I discovered the lighthouse beam shone directly at the church window, this image made more sense. I pressed the indentation, but nothing happened. It seemed like it was meant for something specific. At the back of my mind, I had the notion I'd seen a crucifix of the same shape somewhere before. The rum runner's escape attempt didn't look to have gone very well. The jalopy was now firmly embedded in a tree. The starter crank for the motor car rested on the fraying seat. I picked up the starter crank from the jalopy's seat. The haphazard stitching tried to contain one of the seat's creaking springs. How anyone drove this jalopy without constant back pain was a mystery to me. Deciding the jalopy was so beat up that a little more damage wouldn't be noticed, I cut open the stitch. I pulled the spring from the ripped seat cushion. It was the jalopy's steering wheel. Clearly the rum runners had forgotten how to use it when they crashed into the tree. I didn't need to drive the car. A single bolt held the car's horn on. A single bolt. I tried to turn the bolt with my hands, but couldn't get a good grip. I couldn't do that. Embedded into the stony hillside was a geometric pattern that... I couldn't see any way to open the crypt door. Not a doorknob, not a whoever sealed... I thought I'd leave Ed... I decided to leave.
You've got one job.
Can I help fix it?
Maybe if you can magic up a new coil.
It was a rusty old spring from the rum runner's jalopy that still seemed to work. Just. Maybe this will help?
What do you think you're doing?
I fixed it for you.
I'm going to need to recalibrate the whole thing now.
No need to say thank you.
You're lucky. There's something fishy about you, Murphy McCallan. I can smell a story on a person like rotten eggs in an egg salad. And currently it's the 4th of July summer picnic and someone forgot to put the bowl in the refrigerator last night.
It was a test sheet Evelyn had printed to test the press's alignment. I picked up the freshly printed sheet of paper. It was a typesetter's calibration sheet. It was a typesetter's calibration. The editor was busy at work with spectacles perched on her nose, and it looked so stern I wondered if the glasses were solely for the purpose of glaring over disapprovingly.
Yes?
Hi! What are you working on now?
A clarification. A local dancer is moving off the island and looking to get rid of some furniture. But my piece asking if there was any interest in Hoochie Coochie dancer Lulu Leroy's huge chest got a much bigger response than we expected, and not for the right reasons.
Am I right in thinking you're not from around here?
Good call, McAllen. Santa Monica, California. Born and bred. Hadn't even been to Devil's Rock before I got the job. The divine irony is that I got this job due to a misleading ad in a newspaper. Seeking newspaper editor for dynamic community, exciting stories, amazing opportunities. What nonsense. But now I'm here. Nonsense is all I have to write about.
Why did you stay in Dead Nettle?
I came down with a horrible case of temporary insanity.
Health issues?
No. I started dating a notary named Jonathan. Right after I'd taken out a mortgage, I stumbled across his dalliances with the fishmonger's wife, the ironmonger's wife, and the cheesemonger's wife. Knowing his type, I decided I'd become a warmonger, and I set fire to his belongings. I last saw him picking through his charred underpants on my front porch. Now he's off in Rancho Cucamonga with some flapper named Anastasia, and I'm still financially tied to this island.
I'm trying to track down 3 dead bodies.
A serial killer? In Dead Nettle? This could be gold. When did this happen? This morning? Last night?
No, 33 years ago.
33 years ago? That's not journalism, that's archaeology.
I think I better be going.
My door's always open. I broke the hinge earlier.
It was a big, fancy printing press, which must have cost a fortune decades ago, but was now very much out of date. I didn't want to get ink all over me trying to carry the canister around. Good evening, Captain.
If you say so.
I switched on the lighthouse light.
Do you want a medal?
I better be off.
So long.
Then we hypnotize the middle schoolers to be our Imperial Guard.
Oh, we've got company.
I didn't need to interrupt the tea party.
Welcome back.
Good evening, Mr. Crumb.
How can I help you?
Are these fossils for sale?
Goodness me, you're the second person today to ask me about them.
Let me guess. The first one was a gentleman called Muffy?
I didn't catch his name, but he pressed his face up against the cabinet so hard he left nose prints on the glass. Wouldn't stop asking questions about where I found them. Seemed to think they were from here on the island. Didn't have the heart to tell him I brought them all back from a vacation in Grimstone, Arizona. Total time waster. Who was he anyway? Friend of yours?
Not exactly. His name is Muffy Carlyle.
Of the Carlyle Provincial Accounts and Joint Stock Corporation?
That's him.
You mean to tell me one of the richest men in the country was in my store? My store. Selling the finest watches, necklaces, jewelry, and rings? And all he wanted to talk about was rocks and bones? Excuse me. I feel a little faint.
Do you think I could buy a fossil?
You certainly can, if you can afford it.
Could I take it on account?
On account of what?
On account of me having no money. I think I'll just look around for now.
I'm here if you need me.
Would you be able to polish my brooch again?
Goodness me, what have you been doing with it?
Oh, you know, just the usual wear and tear.
I don't know how anyone does this much tearing while wearing, but hand it over and we'll shine her up.
There is no reason to use the microscope without something to magnify.
Here you go.
Thank you. It was the ornate brooch I'd had cleaned at the jeweler's, now glimmering in the light. The cabinet was filled with precious jewels, geodes, and fossils next to a small sign that read, "Treasures of the Earth." It was an ornate display cabinet. The cabinet was Good evening.
Hello again.
Are you prepared for the ceremony?
In every way, except one. I still haven't found my Bible.
Shouldn't you be looking for it?
The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. Furthermore, I have no idea where to look, but I would very much like to see it returned to me.
Do you know anything about the sanctuary crypt?
Oh, I certainly do. History is a bit of a passion of mine. When Devil's Rock was first colonized, the only inhabitants were the monks of the church and the soldiers of the fort. The monks provided luxuries like woven blankets, carved utensils, and certain brewed drinks. In return, the fort defended the monks from raids.
By pirates?
Yes, but also by the European powers in the Caribbean. Their final line of defense was a hidden escape tunnel. According to legend, the fort had a beacon atop its tallest tower. If it was lit, the light would shine through the church's rose window, and the monks could open a secret passage and retreat to safety.
We 3 kings of Jackson Square, selling stockings a nickel a pair.
Oh, how drastic, no elastic, not very safe to wear. I'm sorry, I don't know where that came from.
How did they open the secret passage?
Now, there's a mystery. I spent decades in that church and never found a trace of it. Of course, the beacon was never lit while I was there. It hadn't been for hundreds of years.
Would the secret passage still open if the lighthouse was lit?
I can't say I know. Maybe. It would be worth trying. It's an electric light now, of course. But I haven't the foggiest if that would make a difference.
Who installed the electric light on top of the fort?
That was Cecil Belmore. He was blessed with electrical ingenuity. I was told the lighthouse needed to be upgraded to handle the ship traffic coming into Deadnettle for the Belmore Trading Company.
That's a very impressive crucifix you're wearing. My compliment may not have been entirely genuine, but my curiosity about its shape, which perfectly matched the indentation beneath the rose window in the church, certainly was.
Pride is a sin, but I accept the duty of wearing it. It's as old as St. Juniper's Church itself.
Could I borrow it?
I'm afraid not. This crucifix is the only connection I have to my parish. There are few things more valuable than this.
What would be more valuable to you?
Well, I've misplaced my Bible. And a holy man without a Bible is like a polar bear in the Congo.
On vacation?
Lost, my dear boy.
Do you need the Bible?
While I consider myself most familiar with the text, it would be very helpful to show blasphemous brutes like this gentleman across from me precisely what commandments he is breaking in plain black and white.
Where did you lose it?
Well, if I knew that, it wouldn't be lost. All I remember is that I placed it down as I stood in front of the rose window, gave a silent prayer, and when I opened my eyes, it had gone.
I best be heading off.
May God be with you.
It was a leather-bound Bible that was falling apart at the spine. Is this the Bible you've been looking for?
My word! That it is, my boy! Oh, where did you find it?
Fallen down the side of a cabinet back in St. Juniper's Church.
People do say they find faith in the most unexpected places, but down the side of furniture is certainly one of the most common. I'm most indebted to you. Is there anything I can give you to show my appreciation?
Actually, I did have my eye on that crucifix you're wearing.
Ah, are you looking for spiritual guidance, my child?
Absolutely. Particularly if it guides me to something hidden in St. Juniper's Church.
Then I shall give it to you with my deepest thanks. Let it guide you to where you want to go.
I had nothing else to say.
What a relief! My Bible returned to me. Why, if I hadn't gotten it back, we would have had to cancel the wedding.
It was the chamber pot I found, delicately resting in the decorative... I took the chamber pot back off the machine.
Welcome back!
It was an old chamber. I didn't think... The chamber pot would make a respectable new home for the fish, but I knew Jasper wouldn't be happy seeing me disturb her. Would you be able to polish my brooch again?
Again!
With Jasper distracted, it was time for his fish to move into its new porcelain-throne home. Hopefully it didn't suffer any indignity at the change of residence, but then, being a goldfish, it would probably soon forget anyway.
Here you go. I've wrapped it in a little tissue paper this time so it doesn't get dirty again.
Thank you.
But really, sir, this many polishings in one night might be approaching my limit. I certainly understand the appeal of a good flash, but I don't know how many more times tonight I can cope with this.
The jeweler was a small, friendly look. He must have been an elegant man, and I had nothing else. It was the chamber pot from Belmore Manor, now home to the jeweler's goldfish. With the goldfish now swimming around happily inside it, I thought it best to leave it where it was. The goldfish had been through enough today.
Welcome back, Murphy McCall.
I have some more questions.
Ask a...
I should get...
May fate...
Will this work as a crystal ball?
Considering our circumstances, we will have to make do. Xavier Belmore, hear our cry! Where does your mortal body lie? I sense a cave on the island coast. Waves thrashing, wind howling, and two figures exploring its darkest depths. Xavier and Rackham. Rackham has lured Xavier here, promising an unparalleled expedition to the bold adventurer. But it's a trap. I sense Rackham fleeing the cave, leaving Xavier as the water rises and rises and rises. Look at the painting. Xavier's body still lies in that coastal cave. I feel much danger there, but you must get a boat and cross the sea to reach it. I sense something in Xavier's bedroom might help you locate it.
I didn't think... I found something that could be used as a spirit board.
Yes, that will work, even if it will take a lot of concentration on my part. Cecil Belmore, we now implore, where do you rest forevermore? I sense a hidden place. A laboratory known only to Cecil, a secret refuge for study and invention, and desperate attempts to reconcile science and the supernatural. But he's been followed. Unknown to Cecil, someone lies in wait in the darkness and is about to look at the painting. Cecil's body lies in a hidden laboratory, and you must find it. Cecil never told anyone where he conducted his work, but in happier times he created a treasure hunt for his brothers, were they ever to seek him out. That is your lifeline, Murphy. Follow the trail of clues to reach that laboratory. I sense the first clue lies in Cecil's bedroom. Welcome back.
I have some more questions.
Ask a...
Tell me again, how can I...
Xavier's body still... I feel much danger. I sense...
I should get back to trying...
May fate...
It was a bell jar containing a homunculus, a miniature human-like creature formed from a mix of animal parts. I'd already carried a shrunken head around earlier that night. I didn't want to start a trend by lugging around other unnerving abominations. And I especially didn't want this one talking to me. A bag lay abandoned on the floor. The bag was empty of everything but papers covered in an unintelligible scrawl. It was a sheet of semi-transparent tissue paper. A stack of books lay haphazardly at the bottom of the bed. The books covered all manner of scientific subjects, magnetism, thermodynamics, chemistry, and much more, none of which I had the time or understanding to read. Hanging on the coat stand was a thick, off-white lab coat. I searched through the pockets of the lab coat. To my surprise, I found something, a small silver coin. There was nothing else in the pockets of the lab coat. It was an old silver coin. At its center were 2 lines of text, but they were too small to read with the naked eye. The apparatus looked like the handiwork of a mad scientist. I thought it was best not to mess with it. Who knew what sort of reaction I might set off? Along one wall of the bedroom was a makeshift laboratory complete with vials, beakers, and a furnace below. It was a wooden trunk covered in stickers from far-off locales: Rio de Janeiro, Istanbul, Cairo, and Swanage. It was a wooden trunk covered in... The latch on the trunk was broken. I would have to do without whatever was inside. I needed to think of something else. It was a bear rug. What was once a behemoth of the forest was now a rustic choice of interior decor. I stared at the glassy black eyes of the bear rug. It didn't stare back. That was a relief. The walls of the room were adorned with all kinds of unusual items collected from around the globe. Weapons weren't my style. Besides, most of them were secured to the wall. Above the fireplace, framed but without any glass, hung what looked to be a pirate map. I reached up and took the map from the frame. As best as I could tell, this was a genuine pirate treasure map. The island I recognized as Devil's Rock, but what stood out to me was the large X in red ink on the southern coast, marked Crossbone Cove. At least I hoped it was ink. The crucifix slid smoothly into the indentation, like the final piece in a jigsaw puzzle. Four wooden buttons had been revealed in the cabinets, each colored with flaking paint: red, orange, dark blue, and light blue. Four wooden buttons had been... Pressing the button, I noticed something had changed in the stained glass window. Whatever mechanical process it used was a mystery to me, but pressing the button caused the panes of glass to tilt ever so slightly, so that the white light from the fort was split into four different colors that seemed to dance around the window. I didn't need the crucifix any longer. The crucifix I'd received from Father Foskett sat neatly in the wooden indentation. Embedded into the stony hills, a geometric pattern that looked... I thought I'd leave...
Welcome back!
I had nothing else to ask him. Could I use your microscope to look at this coin I found?
Oh! Are you a fellow fan of numismatics?
I prefer the old ones.
Yeah, never mind. Go right ahead.
With the microscope calibrated, the coin's writing came into focus. It read, "Into the palm of a prince." The inscription must have been a clue in Cecil's treasure hunt. I just had to find the prince's palm he was referring to. It was an old silver coin with a tiny inscription. Using the microscope in the jeweler's, I'd revealed that it read, "Into the palm of a prince." I learned all I could from the microscope. I had nothing else to... It was an old silver coin with a tiny inscription. Using the microscope in the jeweler's, I'd revealed that it read, "Into the palm of a prince." If I needed more help from Crab, I was going to need to charter his ferry. I'd like to charter your ferry, please. I have a map here to... Huh? What's that?
Shh, shh, quiet! The show's starting. Signore, signori, ladies and gentlemen, the magic and mystery of the theater comes together with the artistry of the craftsman. I was going to say that. You're interrupting me. You started it. This is very unprofessional. To present to you the fantastical battle between good and evil, a struggle between right and wrong. I just said that. The timeless tale of Pulcinella. I was supposed to announce the title.
Excuse me?
These two crack me up.
About the ferry hire.
Yes, I'm afraid the ferry's engaged at the moment.
Because of the puppet show?
You got it. My favourite part's when they hit each other on the head.
Excuse me, Crab? Ferryman's eyes looked past me, captivated by the puppet show on the plaza. He clearly wasn't going to talk to me while two rags on sticks were dancing around. Two puppets danced and wiggled on the stage. Hey guys, do you think you'll be finished soon? I don't think I'd ever been brushed off by a puppet before. Great show. Maybe it's time to wrap it up? I was starting to dislike these guys. That didn't work. That wasn't Hey guys, That didn't work. I didn't need to cut that. It was strange to think. It was strange to think that I'd been supernaturally. It was strange. It was strange. A grand piano took center stage in the room, vigorously hammered away at by the pianist. The Belmore family's monogram was etched in gold on the shield. I didn't have anything to talk to him about. To use the recording machine, I needed a record with a fresh layer of wax. The pianist wouldn't have been happy with me rifling through his belongings. A well-used shovel was sticking out of a freshly dug hole. It had seemingly been used to dig up the thorns I'd killed. Do you mind if I borrow this shovel?
Oh, go right ahead. I already dug up those naughty thorns. It's funny, even when things are dead, they can still cause trouble. Just look at us ghosts.
The plants seemed to have developed a mind of their own, spilling out of their flower beds and pots until... Hello, Rupert.
Hello again, Murphy. Have you given any more thought to my offer?
You mean the offer to poison me?
Well, you needn't put such a negative spin on it. Personally, I think death's just got a bad rap.
I suppose if the Grim Reaper showed up in a glittery tuxedo jacket instead of a hooded cloak, we'd all be much more on board with it.
Exactly. We all have misconceptions about the afterlife. I used to think we were reincarnated. But the fact that I have the same neck wrinkles and big belly, just now translucent blue, has certainly put the lid on that theory.
Why did you believe in reincarnation?
Well, it was more for the social aspect, really. We used to have monthly past life parties. It's something to do at the weekend, you know. You dress up as the person you used to be, until the venue asked us not to come back.
What happened?
It was a disaster waiting to happen, to be honest. By the last one, we had 3 different members claiming to be Napoleon. And they decided the best way to figure out who was genuine was by seeing who would be the first to reconquer Western Europe. We had one person claiming to be Ebenezer Scrooge, despite the stumbling block of his being a fictional character. The final straw was that we had one Julius Caesar and one Brutus. They got in a fist fight outside the venue when Julius tried to jab Brutus with a French loaf from Bon Ton Bakery, shouting, "Baguette too, Brute!" He said afterwards he was just trying to even things up.
Who did you think you were reincarnated from?
Anne Boleyn's my best guess. She had green sleeves, didn't she? And I often have such a splitting headache that a whole beheading thing might come as a relief. How about you, Murphy? Do you think you had a past life?
If so, I can't imagine what I did to deserve the life I've got now. Can I attend one of your past life parties?
If we get them up and running again, I don't see why not. You need to pay the membership fee, though. $50 per person. I know, I thought it was expensive when I joined up too. But it's worth the gamble. You only live once, don't you?
Did you say Rackham took an interest in the poison garden?
That's right. Asking me all sorts of questions.
What did he want to know?
He was asking which ones could drug a person. Ended up rather captivated by the indigo ivy.
What happens if it's used as a drug?
Just a few leaves in a cup of tea would have you paralysed for hours. There are no ill effects once you come back round, though. Of all the plants here, it's probably one of the benign ones.
Unless you're bricked up alive before it's worn off. Do you have any indigo ivy left?
I don't. It was all missing the morning after Rackham asked about it.
Well, no time to stop and smell the roses. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Murphy.
It was an old silver coin with a Following the inscription on the coin and realizing that the metallic statue depicted an Indian prince, I took a close look at the statue's palm. For the first time, I noticed a slight circular indentation, about the size of a coin. I placed the coin into the statue's hand. It fit the indentation exactly, into the palm of a prince. No sooner had I done it than I heard sparks and hums coming from inside the statue. That's when I realized it wasn't a statue at all. It was an automaton. A robotic figure made to move with cogs, wires, and electrical pulses. It seemed to be fighting to move, but then, nothing.
Well, blow me over with a dandelion. I didn't expect anyone to get that working again.
It's not doing much.
Joints will be frozen, I should think. No wonder after all these years. Another job for me to do, and a dangerous one at that. Who knows how many volts Master Cecil ran through that thing to get it moving.
What I once thought was a statue was now revealed to be an intricately mechanized automaton in the image of an Indian prince. It was an old... The automaton wasn't going to do anything while its joints were seized up. Good evening. Do you know what's wrong with the statue?
That thing will be rusted up. If you want to get it moving, you do best to lubricate the joints, I'd say. There must be some grease somewhere. It's a marvel, that thing. One of Master Cecil's inventions. Swore me to secrecy when he installed it. It'll be even more of a marvel if you get it running again.
Well, no time.
Goodbye, Murphy.
If I touched the grease with my bare hands, I'd be spending hours trying to wash it off. I wouldn't have been able to collect much grease with just paper. Nope. I couldn't do that. Using the cotton flag, I scooped up some of the gloppy grease. It was a Crab McCready Ferry Company flag. now saturated with thick axle grease. Using the flag soaked in grease, I began to oil the automaton's joints. I placed the coin back in the automaton's hand and watched. The cap of the scroll case opened and revealed something inside.
Well, there's life in the old thing yet.
Gives us all hope, doesn't it?
It was the piece of paper that had fallen. I picked up the piece of paper that had fallen from the statue. Unrolling it, I discovered it was a death certificate, all filled in except for one key piece of information. The name was missing. It was certainly a clue, but who did it belong to? It was a death certificate, but I had nothing else to say to the guard. The fountain dominated the room like the queen on a chessboard, but this queen had been dethroned decades ago. The fountain had long run dry and the cracked, dusty basin was empty. What I once thought was a statue was now... The automaton's hand had closed on the coin, revealing a secret compartment. Terracotta pots dotted the conservatory, each one cracked and crumbling in a different way. I couldn't see anything alive. As soon as the plates in the stained glass window clicked into place, forming a translucent cross at the center, I heard a rumble behind me, the sound of antique machinery somewhere beneath the stone floor. The uneven stone staircase descended beneath the church into a dark, narrow tunnel. Inside each arch were countless skulls embedded into the rock face, their empty eyes staring at me. I didn't dare begin trying to calculate how many dead bodies it would take to produce such a corridor, or where they came from. The uneven stone staircase descended beneath the church into a dark, narrow tunnel. Inside each arch, I didn't dare begin trying to calculate how many dead. I considered taking one of the skulls, but each seemed firmly immovable and really creepy. The passageway twisted far away from the church, finally emerging in a round room lit only by a pale shaft of moonlight filtering through a narrow hole above. Tombs surrounded me in solemn silence. I had found the sanctuary crypt. As I stepped across the stone threshold of the crypt, it struck me that I was the first person to do so in decades. Footsteps that Yardley never had the chance to make. Good evening, Edgar.
I go all night as the only one in this cemetery with a pulse. Then here you are bringing me 2 steps closer to losing it. What do you want now?
Just taking a look around. It's peaceful here.
It was.
I found a way into the sanctuary crypt.
You got yourself in there? I thought that place was closed up tighter than a jar of pickles dipped in superglue.
I certainly did. The pattern on the entrance was a clue to a secret passage from the church.
Well, I'm envious, Murphy. That's the kind of place I can only dream of ending up.
A dank old crypt?
For some, but I see a nice, quiet atmosphere. Plenty of legroom, no nosy neighbors to interrupt your rest. Those skeletons in there don't know how good they have it. It's only us living folk who can actually appreciate it. In my opinion, death's wasted on the dead.
There's a dead body over...
So, what do you want me to...
Shouldn't you be...
If it manages to walk. Until then, I'm not stepping... I've heard the story.
Do you know who the hangman...
Beats me, but from what
I best be...
Goodbye.
The brickwork was crumbling, and although I couldn't dislodge it with my bare hands, I could tell it wouldn't take much force to break through. I needed to know what was on the other side of that wall, and this was a situation that called for some straightforward destruction. The skeleton of Yardley Belmore lay slumped against the wall of the alcove. He had been bricked up alive. A key hung around the skeleton's neck. You're free now, Yardley. He can't keep you imprisoned anymore.
So you are the mortal who is trying to find the lost treasure of Belmore Manor before me.
Rackham!
You know who I am. Surely you must also know that you have started down a foolish path. It will only end in your death, Murphy McCallan.
I will get to the Belmore treasure before you.
Do you think this is a game, Murphy McCallan? You are toying with things beyond your understanding.
I think you're just nervous that I'm closer to finding the treasure than you are.
Don't let it be said I didn't warn you. If you're so interested in being friends with the dead, Perhaps it's time you joined them. Just as Yardley Belmore was entombed alive, so shall you be.
Rackham's spell had transported me somewhere I couldn't immediately place. I was lying down, my arms pinned to the side of me, my hands only able to feel the grain of the wooden boards to the sides and above and below me. And then I heard the noise, something thudding on the boards above me. That's when I realized I was being buried alive. It was the ornate brooch I'd had cleaned. I could hear shovelfuls of dirt being thrown onto the coffin. I needed to get out before I was buried alive. It was the coffin lid. I didn't normally think of myself as claustrophobic, but this situation was making me reconsider. There wasn't room to swing a shovel inside the cramped coffin. I fumbled in my pockets and took out the screw jack, bracing it between the floor and the lid. With each crank, the pressure grew and grew, until finally... The gravedigger seemed detached from the world as he shoveled dirt onto the coffin. And me. Hey! Could you get me out of here?
Murphy? What are you doing down there?
Trying to not be down here.
I'll go fetch a ladder. Don't go anywhere.
Where do you think I could go? Before I'd even reached the top of the ladder, Edgar had fled to the safety of his shack, far away from the grave where he'd inadvertently tried to bury me. But one good thing had come out of it. Now I had Yardley's key. A shabby-looking coffin lay unceremoniously on the rickety table. Edgar was inside his shack. Good evening, Edgar. The ghost stories...
Well, I don't want to hear them.
Why not?
Because they'd be bad for business. I have my work cut out here with the dead as it is. Imagine if they came back asking for a refund.
Can you believe you almost buried me alive?
If anybody asks you, that never happened. One word of this gets out, and I'll never be allowed near a coffin again.
I best be running along.
Goodbye.
As I returned to the docks, I realized that Dead Nettle's usual smell of sea breeze and rotting fish had been replaced by something far more pleasant, the smoky scent of a fish I thought I recognized.
Hello again, Mac. Now, I hope you don't mind, but you left your fish hanging there. No sense in letting a fish that size go to waste. I've started cooking it up. It'll be the tastiest fish this side of the Mississippi. We can tuck in as soon as it's cooked.
I tried to hide the realization growing on my face. A mouthful of taxidermy stuffing and chipped teeth from the iron horseshoe hidden inside wouldn't be the culinary sensation Ned was after. Sounds great, Ned. Good evening, Ned.
Hello again, Mac.
Ned, I don't know how to tell you this, but I'm not sure that fish is edible.
Nah, Mac. Don't be so modest.
No, really, I think there's something inside the fish that shouldn't be there.
You almost had me there, Mac.
Ned was a nice guy, seemingly too nice to believe what I'd stowed in that fish. How's the grilled pancoza coming along?
Sizzling up nicely. I have to keep checking it every few minutes. Make sure the fire isn't too hot. Make sure the skin doesn't get too charred. But don't worry, I'll let you know as soon as we're ready to eat.
Catch you later, Ned.
See you around, Mac.
I'd like to charter your ferry, please. I have a map here to... Huh? What's that?
Shh, shh, quiet! The show's starting. Signore, signori, ladies and gentlemen, the magic and mystery of the theater comes together with the artistry of the craftsman. I was going to say that. You're interrupting me. You started it. This is very unprofessional. To present to you the fantastical battle between good and evil, a struggle between right and wrong. I just said that. The timeless tale of Pulcinella. I was supposed to announce the title.
Excuse me?
These two crack me up.
About the ferry hire.
Yes, I'm afraid the ferry's engaged at the moment.
Because of the puppet show?
You got it. My favourite part's when they hit each other on the head.
Perhaps it was the piratical air that brought to mind the mimicry skills of a parrot. If Squawkin' Hawkins could do it, maybe I could give it a try.
You're speaking over my lines. I'm not speaking over your lines. You're adding in lines that weren't in the script.
That seemed to get one of the puppeteers riled up. I wondered if I could do the same for the other. I didn't need to blow on that. That didn't work. That seemed to get one of the puppeteers riled up. I wondered if I could do the same for the other. Did you say you were looking for a more secluded beach?
Yes, that's right. Have you found one?
Look at this! Further along the coast is a bay called Crossbone Cove.
Crossbone Cove! That does sound very bony. How do we get there?
I'm not sure. It only looks accessible from the sea.
Well, tell me if you find a way to get there. I'd love to join you on your expedition.
Hello again, Muffy.
Hello, Murphy. Have you found a way to Crossbone Cove yet?
Not yet, but I'm working on it. Can we use your yacht to get to Crossbone Cove?
Oh, I'm afraid not. I gave Rufus the evening off. I knew I'd be plenty busy here on the beach, so I told him not to come back until morning. He said he was going to the Carondelet Cat House. Goodness knows why. I'm a dog person myself.
Well, good luck with your search.
I'll never give up. That's the dinosaur way.
Hello again, Sebastian.
Oh, it's you again.
Not playing hide and seek anymore?
I've outgrown it.
Sore loser, huh?
I didn't lose. You cheated. Anyway, I've moved on to this now.
A paddleball?
My mum found it for me after I told her I wasn't getting the tin boot I wanted for my birthday.
It's not even your birthday.
That doesn't matter. Anyway, what? Bet you can't do this.
The little brat had me there. Like hula hooping, unicycling, and stilt walking, my facility with a paddleball was on par with my ability to do other completely useless party tricks. Shouldn't you be getting ready for the wedding?
I'm not the page boy anymore. I've been demoted.
How did that happen?
Well, before I started playing with this paddleball, I found a marble in one of the bedrooms. A super-sized one, perfect for bombing.
Whose bedroom?
One of the guest rooms. Mr. Beaumont's, I think. He's certainly lost his marbles.
What did you do with it?
Like my dad taught me, I'm keeping Mum on that one. All I'm going to say is that it was a big mix-up. Mrs. Craddock must have had her sense of humour surgically removed.
So, you think you're good with that paddleball, huh?
Better than you'll ever be. Just name a trick and I can do it.
Bet you can't do the paddleball with one hand behind your back.
Oh yeah? Watch this!
I didn't want to damage the furnishings. The kid wasn't just going to let me cut the string of his paddleball. Hello, Sebastian. Did you say you followed Cecil Belmore to a secret laboratory?
I was going to, but then I saw him.
Rackham?
Shh. Yeah, I'm good at hiding, but the way he moved, he was like a shadow.
Mallory told me to tell you she's not happy that you changed her toy catalog.
What's she going to do? I'm already dead.
But that's not a nice way to treat other people.
She started it.
How?
She tried to have me exorcised.
I beg your pardon?
Candles, salt, a pentagram. She even brought over a black cat from the fort. When I confronted her about it, she said she was just doing a science project.
I see. Bet you can't do the paddleball standing on one leg.
Easy peasy.
The kid wasn't just going to let me cut the string of his paddleball. Hello, Sebastian. Bet you can't do the paddleball with your eyes closed.
Look and learn.
With Sebastian's eyes closed, I took out my scissors and when the timing was right, snipped.
Hey, what happened to my paddleball?
The ball just snapped right off there. Maybe you need to practice a bit more. With any other child, I'd feel guilty. With Sebastian, it felt like evening out the cosmic balance.
I bet Mallory was behind this.
I picked up the red rubber ball I'd cut from the paddleball. It looked like a clown's nose. Abigail's ghost was once again back in her bedroom. The minutes left before he met. I didn't need to take it again. It was more valuable to Abigail than me. That wasn't going to work. Nope. That wasn't going to work. Don't worry, Abigail. I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm going to help you. There was nothing I could do with the tabletop. The necklace I was carrying exactly matched the one around the neck of the bride's reflection. This must have belonged to the sailor. It was time to reunite it with its other half. As the reflection disappeared back into the mirror, I looked at the dresser and saw that something had been left behind. A small ivory comb. It was the comb the bride's reflection had left on the countertop when she took the necklace. I didn't think Abigail would mind if I took the comb with me. Remembering my childhood days, I wrapped the tissue paper around the comb to form a rudimentary kazoo.
Non ci posso credere. That was my moment.
Your moment? We agreed in rehearsals that this scene would be about me.
Che cosa? I did no such thing.
You did it again! You always told me you'd try to upstage me.
Che pazza. Mamma told you that. She always told me I should go solo. Right, that's it. I quit.
You quit?
I quit first. You'll never work in this town again.
Work in this town again? We only arrived this morning.
You sabotaged the show.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was just...
That was hilarious. I liked it when the puppets fight, but I love it when it's the puppeteers.
Glad you enjoyed the show.
Could I borrow those instruments you used? If they come back, I'd like to direct the encore.
Sure, I doubt I'll have much more use for them. Hello again, Crab.
Hello, Murphy.
What was that puppet show you were watching?
A bastardization of the Commedia dell'arte. You know, I don't even think they're Italian. Shave the moustaches off, and they'd look exactly like two guys I saw down at the Absinthe Bar a few weeks ago.
Do you think they're really locals?
Worse than that. I think they're Floridians.
Does anyone else perform here?
On the Plaza del Pez? Oh, sure. We're plagued by performers. Last week, some guy painted himself silver, shoved a steel rod up his sleeve, then stood there pretending he could float on air.
Sounds magical.
It wasn't magical when Mrs. Grotke took a tumble and tried to steady herself on him. Knocked the guy right into the bay. He might have been able to float on air, but he sure couldn't float on water.
Are you not a fan of the theater?
Quite the contrary. I dreamed of one day treading the boards, basking in the limelight.
What would your act have been?
Hypnosis. Ever since I was a boy, I would practice for hours, honing my hypnotic stare.
Were you any good at it?
I don't know. I never tried it out other than in the mirror. But anytime I hear a bell ring, I do start clucking like a chicken.
Have you ever auditioned for the local theater?
At the Calliope? No, I can't say that I have. I always felt that the innate connection between the performer and the audience was disrupted by the proscenium arch. An actor should get out among the spectators, simultaneously a symbol and a reflection of the society they find themselves in.
A commentary on the bourgeoisie that belongs within the everyday experience, not locked away behind an entry fee.
And you think that can come across in street theater?
Of course. Unless you're a mime, and you just look silly.
I'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.
Could you take me to Crossbone Cove?
Well, look at that. That's quite the dangerous destination. Do you know how many boats have crashed against the rocks along that coast?
Does that mean we can't go?
Oh, sure we can. But it'll cost you.
How much?
Boat charter, insurance, perilous route supplement, double pay at this time of night. It's gonna cost you at least $50.
$50?
Plus tax. Let's call it $75 total.
75?
But listen, I'll give you private hire of the ferry for the rest of the night.
I don't have that much.
No problem. Just get back to me when you do. As I say it, you've got no other choice. Ain't no other ferry around at this time of night.
Hello again, Muffy.
Hello, Murphy.
There's a ferryman in town named Crab McCready who can take us to Crossbone Cove. We just need $75 to cover the charter fee.
Oh, absolutely. I can spare some of my allowance. Let me write you a check.
It was a signed check I'd been given by Muffy Carlyle, the fossil hunter, to charter a ferry to Crossbone Cove.
That should cover it.
I'll go charter it at once. I had nothing else to say. Will this cover the ferry payment?
Ooh, I didn't think you'd get that much. Sure it will. Who's this Carlyle guy?
Oh, he's coming too. He's funding the trip.
Well, he gets a promotional flag too.
Gee, thanks.
Consider this ferry chartered. Thank you for placing your trust in the Crab McCready Ferry Company, despite all the reviews. Now, once your compatriot is here, we can cast off. Pin that map up inside the cabin, will you? It'll be a tricky voyage to Crossbone Cove. I haven't sunk yet. This month.
And so we were off, captained by a man whose body composition had more alcohol in it than a bottle of vodka. And yet he navigated like a seasoned dancer, pirouetting through the treacherous currents with a drunken grace, all the while sipping from a flask that smelled stronger than window cleaner. Crab, I can't complain about your captaincy skills, but I've got to ask, how did you get through those treacherous rocks with so much alcohol in your bloodstream?
Murphy, if I didn't have the alcohol in my bloodstream, I wouldn't be going anywhere near those rocks in the first place.
The ferryman rested against the wheelhouse like a barnacle on a rock, or a barfly on a, well, bar. Hello again, Crab.
Hello, Murphy.
Isn't there supposed to be a cave here?
Looks like there's been a rock slide. Not unusual on this side of the island. The Caribbean hurricanes hit these coves with full force.
I'd like to head back to Dead Nettle, please.
I'll stay here. Come back for me later. I'm not leaving until I find a fossil.
That guy's elevator doesn't go all the way to the top floor now, does it? Hop aboard, Murphy.
It was a pile of rocks, sturdily balanced atop one another. From where I was standing, it practically looked like the cannons were aimed at me. Looking back out through the narrow inlet across the waves, I could see Fort de la Moor, with its ramparts of antique cannons and lighthouse-top tower. Currently, it was shining away from Crossbone Cove. I didn't want to disturb the rock pile. I might have made it collapse. It was an old rowboat, smashed against the rocks of the stony beach. The rowboat had no oars, and more importantly, no structural integrity. It wasn't going anywhere. The currents on this side of the island whipped the water up. While the lapping tide on the pebble beach looked idyllic, the water at the entrance to the bay was a death trap. At the far end of Crossbone Cove, all I came across was a wall of rocks and boulders. It seemed what looked to be the entrance to I couldn't see a way through the fallen rocks. If I wanted to get into the cave, I would need to get rid of them. A change of location hadn't brought about a change in expression on the determined fossil hunter. His disposition could best be described as enthusiastically baffled. Hello again, Muffy.
Hello, Murphy.
Any luck finding those fossils?
Nothing. I'm beginning to think this island doesn't have any fossils.
Have you found anything at all?
Only these.
Oh my goodness, Muffy! Those are gemstones! Rubies, emeralds, sapphires? This might be genuine pirate treasure.
But they're not fossils, are they? They're nothing more than baubles. They're not the figurative footsteps of ancient behemoths, the skeletal remains of the kings of the prehistoric world. I'll have you know, I'm not conducting this exploration for financial gain, but for the love of dinosaurs. Here, you seem rather entranced by them. You can have them.
Gosh, thank you, Muffy. What do you think of Crossbone Cove, Muffy?
I feel like a real explorer out here. Such daring and tranquil isolation, inaccessible, miles from civilization.
It's nice to get away from it all, isn't it?
Just the place to build a summer retreat, I'd say. A manor on the cliffside, a pier for the yacht, connect up a road for Rufus, my driver, a few cottages for the staff. Then I'd be able to enjoy the isolation properly.
You haven't seen a cave around here, have you?
I'm afraid not. Why? Have you lost one?
It appears so.
Well, don't give up. Things are always in the last place you look.
Good luck with the fossil hunting.
I'm close. I can feel it.
It was a handful of multicolored gemstones, undoubtedly pirate treasure.
Welcome back!
I've got something to sell that I think you'll be very interested in.
Wonderful! What is it you're selling?
These are genuine pirate gems. They were discovered at the treacherously inaccessible Crossbone Cove, where they must have laid undisturbed for 2 centuries. Just imagine their history. Fierce ship battles, sword fights, X marks the spot. They must be priceless.
That's a very exciting story, Murphy. But I'm afraid what we have here is glass.
Glass?
Yes, sea glass. Bits of bottle or a broken lantern, perhaps. They fall into the sea, then get smashed up into little pieces by the rocks. The tide wears them down until you end up with pretty little polished pieces like this.
Does that mean you're not going to buy them off me?
I'm afraid not. But they are pretty. I'll tell you what I'll do. Have a look and see if there's something you'd like to trade them for. Does that sound like a deal?
Sounds like the best deal I'm going to get. It It was an ornate display cabinet. Could I trade the sea glass for one of these fossils?
Certainly. I think that's within your price range. Which would you like?
The swirly one at the front would be great. Thank you.
Pleasure doing business with you.
It was the ammonite fossil that I traded sea glass for at the jeweler's. Good evening,
If you say so.
I switched up.
Do you want to?
I better be.
So long.
Hello again, Captain Pemberley.
Welcome back, Captain.
I'd like a rematch.
Thinking you can beat what I hit before? Threes. Too bad, Captain McCallum. It seems my standing as champion of the Captain's Club continues.
I had an idea. One that required skill, subtlety, and finesse. Or at least the ability to hurl a billiard ball through an open doorway. Yoink!
Did you just touch the table?
Absolutely not.
Ow! Who threw that?
Hello again, Captain Pemberley.
Welcome back, Captain McCallum.
I'd like a rematch at English billiards.
Thinking you can beat what I hit before? Step right up. I don't believe it. I've never seen 14s before. You must have arms like the coupling rods on a steam train.
A blessing and a curse, as I've discovered more than once to my own cost. But I don't like to boast. Does this mean I win the trophy?
I'm afraid it does, but you need to bring it back next Wednesday for the potluck. We'll have a rematch then.
I decided to leave Captain With my newfound title as club billiards champion, it was time to claim my trophy. I took a handful of the spilled gunpowder. I poured the gunpowder into the cannon. It was the trophy I'd won at the Captain's Club, a gold-plated sphere of solid metal in the shape of a billiard ball. I loaded the billiards trophy into the cannon, spherical and solid metal. It was the perfect improvised cannonball. I packed in the gunpowder and makeshift cannonball. Now there were just 2 steps remaining. Aim and fire. Whoa! I was only going to be able to fire this cannon once, and I needed to make sure it was aimed right. The rocky coastline all looked the same. I needed a way to make a target. Returning to Crossbone Cove, I discovered the lighthouse at Fort de la Moor was now illuminating the inside of the cove. Hey, Crab, what is this thing?
Ah, there's a cairn. probably built centuries ago.
What was it used for?
The cairns were used by pirates as markers. You see, with all these coves and caves along the coastline, it'd be easy to lose track of which one held the booty. So they'd stack up the rocks and put something reflective on top, like a shard of metal from a broken cutlass or a handheld mirror. Then, as they'd sail the coast, they'd shine their lanterns across the beaches, and if they saw something reflect back, they knew that's where they'd hidden the stolen loot.
Do you think the cove still has treasure?
I don't think so. What's the point of hiding gold and jewels if you don't come back to collect and spend them?
As I placed the polished brooch on the cairn, it caught the light of the lighthouse beam and reflected it back fantastically, like a signal mirror. The cannon was ready to fire, but Muffy was still at Crossbone Cove. No matter how annoying the lanky fellow was, I couldn't fire the cannon while he was still on the beach searching for fossils. Muffy, look what I just found!
Is that what I think it is? A dinosaur fossil. A memento of the behemoths. A shadow of a bygone age. My very own dinosaur. That's an ammonite, that is.
Really not helping here, Crab.
Just saying.
And it was right here where you were searching. You were right after all.
I was right. I'm a real-life paleontologist. This'll show Papa.
Crab, we're heading back to Dead Nettle. Muffy found what he was looking for.
Glad to hear it. Step aboard. Where did your friend run off to so fast?
I have no idea, but I think we made a childhood dream come true tonight.
I am so overwhelmed, I might spew right across the deck.
The cannon looked like it might still work. If it did, with the brooch at Crossbone Cove reflecting light back from the lighthouse, I knew exactly where to aim. I took a match out of the matchbook and lit the cannon's fuse. I felt like a pirate captain about to unleash a broadside barrage. Ready the cannons, you scurvy scallywags! Pull the ship to port, down with the mainsail! Buckle your swash and fire! That looks like it might have worked.
Well, blow me down. What's happened here? Did you do this, Murphy?
I needed to find a way in.
Well, Aladdin, I think you found your magic cave.
The cannon fire had worked. The boulders that had fallen in the rock slide were now rubble strewn across the beach, revealing what I'd been searching for, a dark cave winding into the cliffside. Hello again, Crab.
Hello, Murphy.
So pirates used to use this beach to stow hidden treasure?
I heard this one was used by Captain Crumb.
He's related to Jasper Crumb, the jeweler, isn't he?
Hard to believe, isn't it? One of the most vicious pirates to sail these seas. Until he got the wind knocked out of his sails. How a bloodline can go from a man who would cut through a dozen men for just a single doubloon to a man who came off worse in a fight with a budgie is beyond me.
What knocked the wind out of Captain Crumb's sails?
Some say it was a ghost ship. Personally, I think he must have had a midlife crisis. Tried to find something more fulfilling, like crochet or watercolour painting. All that swashbuckling would wear anyone out.
I'm going to get back to searching the cove.
Good luck!
ghostly glow flickered from the far end of the cave as I slipped on the seaweed-covered rocks trying to reach it. I began to fear the worst, but as I emerged in the subterranean chamber, I discovered it was actually the otherworldly glow of plankton. It was a rock formation at the far end of the cave, but was it natural? I didn't know if my mind was playing tricks on me, but the rock formations in the cave began to look like a skull and crossbones. So that's why they call it that. I'd read about phytoplankton before, and how its glow was triggered by the vibration of movement around it, but nothing compared to the magic of seeing them. Disturbed by the gentle wash of the waves, algae in the water was glowing blue. I wasn't going to be able to pick up the algae with my bare hands. I scooped up some of the algae water. With a quick shake to agitate it, the bottle began to shine like a blue lantern. Outstretched across the sandbank was a sea-worn skeleton. It must have been Xavier Belmore. Close up, the skeleton's bones looked bleached from the salt water, the fabric worn away from decades of high and low tides. Embedded in the sand was Xavier Belmore's key. The thought of touching the skeleton sent a shiver down my spine. I found you, Xavier. Your final expedition won't have been in vain.
I grow weary of your inability to heed my warning, Murphy McCallan. No good shall come from you pursuing this.
What you've done to Abigail Belmore cannot be allowed to continue.
Abigail Belmore is dead, as will you be, if you continue this pathetic charade.
She deserves to be free, just like all the ghosts of the manor.
You haven't learnt, have you, McCallan? Everything you've done so far has just made the situation worse. Now is the time to back out.
I'll never do that, Rackham. Finding the treasure is more important to me now than it's ever been.
Then I hope it's a cause you're willing to die for. Just as Xavier Belmore drowned in the rising tide of this cave, so shall you.
When Rackham's earthquake finally stopped, I realized the route I'd followed into the cave was blocked. Tons of impenetrable rock and rubble now stood between me and the outside world. I was trapped. The only source of light was the glowing algae in the water, but even that dimmed to darkness when it went undisturbed in the quiet cave. At any point, the cave could fill up with seawater, drowning me just as it had Xavier. I needed to find a way out. My path into the cave had been blocked by a cave-in. I suddenly felt the need. As I stood still, I noticed the algae beginning to dim. I'd read that its glow was triggered by vibrations, and without my footsteps, it was getting darker. As the darkness dimmed in the cave, I began to make out a faint luminescence in the form of a whirlpool. Some turbulence beneath the water was making the algae glow, and I hoped it might be an underwater tunnel. The lights below the water didn't offer much chance of escape, but at least it was better than waiting to drown in the cave. Using the bottle of algae as an underwater lantern, I waded into the water, then dived down below the surface. The underwater tunnels felt like a maze. I pulled myself past jagged rocks and twisting passages, with only the ethereal blue glow of the algae to light my way. Until finally, with only seconds of air left in my lungs, I reached the surface.
Murphy, what are you doing over there? It's dangerous to swim out here, you know. You could get washed into a sea cave or something.
Thanks for the advice, Crab. I'll make a note of that. Green from the seawater I'd swallowed, I could at least say I'd survived being drowned. And now I had Xavier's key. Hello again, Crab.
Hello, Murphy.
I'm going to get...
Good luck.
The cave was once again inaccessible, and probably for the last time, too. It was an old rowboat, smashed against the rocks of the stony beach. Rackham's cave-in had blocked off the route down to the cave completely. I wasn't getting down there again, and for my own safety, that was probably a good thing. I decided if Ned wanted to wait until the fish was cooked to tuck in, it was time to turn up the heat.
Whoa! We don't want you overdone, little fishy. Time to cut you open. Ready for a taste sensation, Mac?
Ready as I'll ever be.
Hand me back that knife, would you? That's strange. There's something in here. A horseshoe.
Now, how did that get in there?
Mac, I think your fish is stuffed.
Well, knock me over with a herring. I'm shocked. Does this mean my record doesn't count?
I hate to break it to you.
Did I hear what I think I heard? Out of the way, Buster.
Evelyn, what took you so long?
The record-breaking Pancosa was stuffed. The new record was a sham. Murphy, what have you got to say for yourself?
You've caught me red-handed. Well, I don't mean to be coy with you, but this cuts me to the soul. I only entered for the halibut. I can't believe I'm herring this right. I'm cracking up. I'm floundering. I'm carping on and on. I need to clear my head, but let me know if you need anything else from me.
I think you've got more of a future in the funny pages than serious journalism, Murphy. Kips, have you got time for an interview with the Juniper Parish Gazette?
Evelyn homed in on Ned like a dog with a bone and no sense of personal boundaries.
Do you hold any other records?
I thought it was best not to interrupt their interview. Cheeky Fox steals goose from zoo director during holiday dinner. The newspapers in the cabinet dated back decades. If I was going to find something specific, I needed to match it up with a date. Fatal fall. Miss Amaneus falls to death from cliff top. Using the date from the death certificate, I began to search through the newspaper's archives. And then, I found it. In the bottom corner of the newspaper was a small announcement showing that the person buried on that date was named Eleanor Hines. I ripped out the announcement and replaced the newspaper. It was the obituary I'd ripped from the newspaper giving the burial date of someone named Eleanor Hines. It was the obituary I'd ripped from the newspaper giving the burial date of someone named Eleanor Hines.
McAllen, I told you you can't go back there.
Whoops, look at the time. I've really got to be going. I had a name to go along with the death certificate. Now it was time to find out where they were buried. I began searching the graves for the name in the clipping, Eleanor Hines. Aha! I discovered a small headstone at the center of the cemetery, partially covered in moss and lacking any date whatsoever. So this was where Eleanor Hines had been buried. Except, now that I was looking at it etched in large letters, I began to realize something. The name was an anagram. Here lies no one? And if a person wasn't buried here, what was? The headstone read, Eleanor Hines. To say digging up a grave felt eerie would be an understatement, but if something was down there, I needed to find out what it was. I took out the shovel and began to dig. Eventually, I found something. Not a coffin, but instead, a battered old chest. It was the grave I'd spent a long time digging up. There was nothing else in the grave. It was the small wooden chest I'd exhumed from the grave. I opened the chest I dug up from the grave and found two things of interest: a round glass lens and an engraving in the lid of the chest. It was an engraving carved into the wooden lid of the chest. The engraving read, "The Tale of the Mermaid." A small glass lens ringed with copper sat in the wooden chest. I picked up the glass lens. I was going to need to head... The small lens fit perfectly on the end of the telescope. I immediately looked through it to see what it would reveal. I spy with my little eye the next clue. It was a small creek running across the peninsula. The creek meandered all across the peninsula. Surely that was too much to search. It was the road I'd walked along to reach Belmore Manor. I'd already walked that road numerous times. Was there something along it I was missing? It was a rocky outcropping. Maybe the top of the outcrop would provide a different perspective on something? The Tale of the Mermaid. This must have been the location described in the chest's inscription, but looking through the gap in the weather vane, all I could see was darkness. With no easy path to it, I couldn't justify risking my life trekking through overgrown wilderness and the alligator-infested bayou unless I was sure something was there. I needed some way to light up the bayou. The clue could easily be hidden beneath the pebbles in the bay. The bayou would have been an easy place to hide something in. It was an area of swampy bayou. It was a clearing just beyond the edge of the Belmore estate. The clearing offered plenty of places to bury the next clue. It was a metal weather vane in the shape of an octopus. Perhaps there was something important about the weather vane, but I couldn't put my finger on what it was. It was the northern coast of Devil's Rock. Perhaps a shipwreck lay somewhere off the coast? The firework dropped snugly into the drain pipe. If it needed a launch tube to fire, this was the closest I was going to get. I took a match out of the matchbook, dragged it against the striker, and lit the firework. It was an iron, illuminated by the glow of the fireworks. I could see something through the mermaid weather vane. It looked like a wishing well. My route to the well had me clambering over fallen tupelo trees and trudging through knee-deep water, lit only by moonlight and accompanied only by the overly curious critters of the bayou. But eventually, I found it. The well was built on a rocky island surrounded by swamp water. It was an empty soda bottle I'd found on the beach. On the center of a small island was a stone well, decorated with metal filigree. Carved into the stone on each side was the face of a gorgon. It was a sturdy rope with a hook on the end. The rope looked like it could bear my weight, if only I could lower it into the well first. On the center of a small island was a stone well, decorated with metal filigree. Carved into the stone on each side was the face of a gorgon. I looked down the well. I couldn't see the bottom. Perhaps the darkness concealed the next step of my treasure hunt, if I could find a way down into it. I wanted to turn the pulley, but realized the handle was missing. Without a handle, I wasn't going to get the leverage to turn it. The crank slid into the gear mechanism perfectly. It was the well's rope, now unwound and descending into the well. The rope was already lowered as far as it would go. Attached to the side of the wishing well was a mechanism used for raising and lowering the rope. I'd heard of throwing a coin down a well to make a wish, but never of throwing yourself down. I just had to hope a 30-year-old rope could still hold my weight. With some luck, I found I'd landed on a metal platform jutting out into the hollow of the well. Clearly, I wasn't the first person to come down here. although the previous visitor might have arrived here more gracefully. A broken piece of the well's spindle had been caught on the metal platform, a length of rope still attached. I picked up the rope and the spindle it was attached to. An alcove in the well was shrouded in darkness, beyond the reach of the meager moonlight shining down the well from above. Unless I planned on jumping even further down into the well, the alcove looked like the only route out. But as I ran my hands over the bumps in the darkness, I couldn't find anything but cold, wet stone. If there was something there, I'd need some illumination to find it. The light from a match was going to be too dim and too quick burning to properly examine what lay in the darkness. I needed to think bigger. I would have burned my hand if I lit the greasy rag while holding it. Knowing how flammable the grease-soaked cotton would be, I wrapped it around the spindle to form a rudimentary torch. I took the final match out of the matchbook, careful not to drop it onto the wet floor, and ignited the torch. The torch burned brightly, dancing light into the formerly dark alcove, and that's when I saw it. Hidden within the rock face was a small metal box with a button on it. A small button protruded from a panel embedded in the stone wall. I pressed the button and immediately heard the sound of sparking electricity, seemingly coming from within the rocks themselves, and then it was the torch I'd made to light up the alcove. The torch was in a good place where it was. The passageway meandered like a labyrinth through the underground rock. With each step, I felt more and more lost and ready to turn back. Then up ahead, I saw a glimmer of light. A small metal bridge crossed a chasm in the tunnel's floor. I'd already risked my life traversing the caves once. I wasn't about to head back. The top of the stairs appeared to be a dead end, but the wooden board blocking my way and the muffled sounds of electricity suggested there was more to this passageway than met the eye. In the darkness, I placed my hands on the panel in front of me and could feel it budge slightly. I placed my hands on the obstruction and pushed. I emerged into a dimly lit office that seemed to have been taken over by frighteningly active machinery, and from the familiar groaning of wood, I realized where I was. The books were eclectic, ranging from science to the supernatural, electricity to exorcism. It was disconcerting to think about what research they might have once been informing. Despite my efforts, I couldn't find a way to open the bookcase passage from this side. Horror novels had told me that one of the shelved books might be a secret lever, but if there was one, I couldn't find it. Papers were strewn throughout the room, covered in ferociously written observations and diagrams, very few of which made any sense to me. The scrawls looked like the writings of a madman. I could identify words in Latin and strange occult symbols, but pieced together, they looked like they'd only have meaning to their author. The large machine looked like something out of the story Frankenstein, fizzing occasionally with stray sparks. So this was the generator that the water wheel was powering. This was what was bringing the spark of life to Cecil's experiments. Cecil Belmore's skeleton lay hunched over his desk, a knife still in his back. This must have been Cecil Belmore, the scientist. I didn't want to interfere with the skeleton any more than I had to. Surrounded by blood-stained cloth, the murder weapon was still firmly embedded in the victim's back. It didn't feel right pulling the dagger from the skeleton. Still held on a string around the skeleton's neck was one of the 3 keys. I solved your treasure hunt, Cecil. I hope you don't mind me taking this as my reward.
Murphy McCallan, you will pay for your insolence.
I have the 3rd key now, Rackham. The treasure doesn't belong to you. I know all about your plan, Rackham.
My plan will succeed with or without your interference. I'm afraid you're making a terrible mistake, McCallan. For your own sake, I suggest you leave this island for good.
Never. Whether you like it or not, I'm part of this story now too.
I will not be defeated by a mere mortal, even if you claim the treasure. I will haunt you to the ends of the earth. There will be no escape from the terror and misery I will bring down upon you. Each time you sleep, I will turn your every dream into an unending nightmare.
I've survived your attempts to kill me twice now, Rackham. Maybe you're not as powerful as you think you are.
Even with the 3 keys, do you really think you can beat me to the treasure, Murphy? You are a mortal. I am an all-powerful spirit. I have looked upon the face of death, and still I remain here. Now it's time for you to look upon death too. Just as Cecil Belmore's blood poured from his body, so shall yours.
Rackham's telekinetic powers had dropped me onto the mill's conveyor belt. My wrists and ankles now tied with the same wire that was strewn about the mill, but at least the buzzsaw wasn't on. And then it got even worse. With inches to spare, the belt snagged on the working wooden frame and gave me a chance of escape, acutely aware that it could catch again any moment and send me hurtling into the spinning blade. With my hands and feet bound, I couldn't reach my belongings. The buzzsaw spun so fast it was a blur, but I remembered every one of those jagged teeth and what they'd do to my body if I got too close. No matter how hard I pulled, I couldn't snap it. Carefully, I held the wire wrapped around my wrists against the spinning blade. It cut through them like butter, just like it would do to me if I couldn't get my ankles free. Nope. With seconds left, I hacked into the wires with the scissors and just managed to cut through them. With my legs free, I swung myself off the conveyor belt. I'd survived being cut in half, and now I had Cecil's key. That was it. All 3 skeleton keys. Now it was time to open the vault. It didn't... The key didn't fit that... The key did... I placed the first key into the mantelpiece. The key didn't... I placed the second key into the mantelpiece. I placed the third key into the mantelpiece and immediately heard a click. I didn't know what exactly I was going to discover beneath the house, but it was time to find out.